Today, we are sharing our final thoughts about Super Mario Bros. Wonder before the game comes out this week, tomorrow.
Well, as of the time this podcast is releasing to the public, the game is launching exactly 12 hours later.
Oh my goodness.
So we have a bit of time left to ask ourselves some final questions about this game.
Questions.
Ponder some big picture questions about Super Mario Bros. Wonder. So we're going to do just that today.
Yeah, we're excited to dig in. We're excited to finally get a chance to play this game and see if all of our thoughts and feelings are right. But yeah, let's get into it. Before we do that, everything that you see on this channel is brought to you and supported by our wonderful Patreon family. Thank you guys so much. We love you. If you want to join us, we're at patreon.com/KitandKrysta.
I said released to the public 12 hours before because our Patreon subscribers get it at least another day earlier than that.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want to be one of the first people in the world to hear every episode of the Kit and Krysta podcast, see every episode of Super Kit and Krysta 64, that can be arranged.
It can be yours for the low fee of joining us on patreon.com/KitandKrysta. There are tons of other really fun exclusive member benefits as well. We are going to be doing more Patreon exclusive content coming up in the next couple of weeks. We got something, I'm eyeing something right now that will probably become a Patreon exclusive. So,
and Patreon's really upped its game over the last couple months as well. They put out a new mobile app that's looking great. You can now, in addition to subscribing and getting things that way, they have a shop where you can get things individually.
Yeah.
You can get things from us. Like you can meet with us privately. We can autograph something for you. All sorts of things that are amazing. So if you haven't looked at Patreon in a while, maybe now's the time to check it out.
Yeah. We are deep in the midst of Mario Week, which is very exciting.
Only a couple more days to go.
Yeah.
But it's a week-long celebration of Mario. Again, if we did it for Sonic, we got to do it for Mario.
If we did it for Zelda, we got to do it for Mario.
True. It's fun. It's amazing we could do both in the same year. That's pretty special.
Another one of those Mario Zelda years, which is really very special.
Right. So we have released all sorts of videos so far. We've put out our 3D Mario tier list.
Yep.
We already released the 2D tier list prior to Mario Week.
We've ranked Mario Music. And something that's amazing about Mario Week this time, as opposed to the other weeks, is it's actually going into the weekend.
Yes. So Saturday.
Just too much Mario stuff.
Saturday will be our final Mario Week video, and everybody's already playing Super Mario Bros. Wonder. It's a great way to cap it off with just one last big Mario video from us. Yeah, and obviously we're going to be playing Super Mario Wonder as well as part of Mario Week. So that's going to be really fun, but we've had a great time just looking back at sort of the history of Mario and celebrating Mario, and wow, how far the series has come. It really did hit me, like, it's been a long time since a big Mario game has come out. Yeah. Like, Odyssey was a lot longer ago than it feels like to me. It has been a lot longer. That feels like it was just, a couple years ago, but it's been 6, 7 years or something. 7 years. Whoa. Yeah. A long time. A big, sort of 2D Mario game hasn't come out in what did we say, 11 years? Something like that. Yeah, since the launch of the Wii U. Oh, it's nuts. It's 11 years, yeah. Nuts. What have they been doing over there at Nintendo? Sipping coffee? My gosh. Get to work. Yeah, so it is a very special time, and I think everybody should just take a moment to revel in this rare moment that we have, because it might be another 11 years. I don't know. Let's hope not. I am looking forward to... Next stop, new Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Here it comes. Uh-oh. For the Switch 2? We got it right this time. New. The gimmick is going to be coins. Just kidding. But yes, we're very excited to celebrate all things Mario. Hope that you guys have been following along and enjoying all the great Mario videos as well. Another big thing that we did over the weekend was going to Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Oh, now that the show's over, you know what it's called. Exactly. Good for you. Yes, I finally learned the name of the thing. It's a long name. It's a mouthful. Yes, so that's the reason why Mario Week is going into the weekend, is we have already released our big vlog from this event the other day. We can't miss a slot for Super Kit and Krysta. We got to make those slots. So we had to extend Mario Week by a day, but it's great. Yes, so this is an event that we had wanted to go to for a while. Saw all of our friends going to it last year and said, gosh, we gotta find a way to go to that. Fortunately, they had us come as speakers.
Yay.
So we did a whole big panel there for that. It went great. And I mean, this show was so big. Like, the scope of it was massive. Like, it was on par with other shows that we had been to, but it's entirely dedicated to retro gaming.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, but it was a show that I think we've both been really interested in for a long time, and it's a little bit different than a PAX or some of those other Comic-Con, because it is very dedicated to retro games. But I was just so surprised at like how big it was. How many? I think they said there were over 300 vendors, all specializing in retro games. They had a lot of really fun, sort of nostalgic things as well. Like, they brought the like the last Blockbuster, which is in Bend, Oregon. Mm-hmm. They brought that experience to the show. They had the Tetris World Championships. I've never seen so many NES and those like retro like CRT TVs or whatever. I've never seen that, like, so many of those in a long time like that. And they had this huge like Tetris tournament. They had arcade machines. There's a lot of like local like barcades and stuff in the area that were participating, and just like endless things for you to buy and treasure hunt, and it was amazing. I thought it was so cool.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is unlike other shows, like, there's not that much that's new there. There were some smart companies that had kind of retro leaning games that were there showing new things.
Right.
So like Digital Eclipse, our friends who make, the Atari 50 and the Karateka making of, they had a booth there. It made a lot of sense. I actually think there's a lot of other companies that could do something like that.
Yeah.
Because their games are inspired and do have the feel
that is like
of retro games.
The audience that you're trying to tap into is like the people that have all the nostalgia and memory for these retro games.
The other thing that was interesting was like not everybody there was like an old geezer like yourself. There were a lot of like younger people who definitely were not around when these systems were there, but are just interested in games and
want to know the history of
it,
and
love a good game no matter when it came out. So that was very inspiring to see. Honestly, just like people do care about classic games, and it's not just always the hot new thing. So that made me feel good. There were also, interestingly, this kind of genre of game of people making new games for old hardware.
Yeah, that was very
There were a
surprising.
number of booths of people doing that. So there were some people who were making it for old Atari hardware, definitely a lot of like old NES. We played Super Mario Brothers on the Intellivision.
The controller was it was like a really strange way to play.
I have very little experience with the Intellivision. That controller is basically like a TV remote. Where it just like literally has 1 through 9 numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a very odd experience. But interesting that they're doing that.
That was not an ideal way to play Super Mario Brothers. But they made it. I'm sure they feel great that they got it up and running, and it didn't look that
it was very novel.
Different?
At least. Very novel.
Yeah. So that seems to be a big kind of cottage industry of people who just love that, generation so much. It's like, well, I got a great idea for a game. I'm going to make it for the system that I love so much.
It's kind of cool. It's like, how people like print vinyl records nowadays, It's like the same thing where it has a different feeling when it's on the old hardware. So I can see the appeal.
Well, I mean, it's cool because there are new game design ideas that weren't really around or as popular then. So it's fun to see, like, can I pull this off on this very limited hardware?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a challenge that I think people are trying to take on.
Speaking of challenges, we tasked ourselves with the challenge of finding mischief makers for the Nintendo 64. And you might say, why that? So earlier this year, I forget when it was like February or something, we did a video where we went to some local retro game shops and we asked our Patreon folks, what should we get? And a lot of people out of the blue said Mischief Makers. I never played Mischief Makers. I don't know much about it, but I was like, all right, well, that seems cool. Let's try and find that. We've been looking ever since. We haven't found it. You famously went to a retro game store in Los Angeles. You filmed for a video.
Yeah.
where it said, like you had a text call out, no Mischief Makers here. And when I was watching the video, I was like, it's right there.
Yeah, it was like in a pile of like N64 games. And I just didn't see it because I'm like you, I was not super familiar with the game. So it wasn't like a box art or a label that popped out at me. Like, oh, I know exactly what Mario Kart looks like.
But it was there.
But it was there. And I will take the L, okay? I will take the L, okay? But we made it a sort of a big goal to search for mischief makers.
I mean, that's part of the fun of a show like this, which is like, can I get through this whole show and find this thing that I really want to get?
Yeah.
And
there were some highs and lows though, and it's captured in our vlog.
The state of Nintendo 64 is interesting because a lot of these places just didn't have that much.
Right. And a lot of the places that had any sort of N64 games, only sports games. People of the world.
Retro game purveyors of the world. Let me just suggest something. Take all of the random sports games that you have and throw them in the trash. Because you're never going to sell them. Nobody wants them. They're just taking up space. It's like, you have NFL quarterback club 97. Well, I was looking for 96. Nobody wants any quarterback club.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like we flipped through bins, so many bins. Like we literally were flipping through bins and bins of N64 games, and like I think that it was like 90% sports games.
Yeah.
10% were like very common Nintendo first party games, like
classics, certified
64,
classics,
but cart, whatever.
Right.
And that's fine. Those are obviously if you were collecting, if you wanted to get your hands on like a full set of games that launched on N64 from Nintendo, like all of those are probably available to you. The other thing about just looking for an N64 game that was tough is no label on the top of the cartridge. So you're literally just having to like flip through one at a time.
Versus just like eyeballing a stack of like, no.
Yeah.
Like this one's much more intensive to go through
Very
every
intensive. Anyways, we have some highs and lows of that. Are you going to show?
Well, way to make it anticlimactic. So we did get it.
Yes.
So we literally were about to leave, and it was like, oh, maybe there's like a handful of other stands that we have not seen yet.
Yeah.
So we went to this one, like again, literally as we were about to leave, and like, fine, we'll just look at one more. And they had it.
They did have it.
In our budget, in our price range, in great shape. It could not have happened in a more
like a fairy tale
fashion.
I was going to say, it was literally the last place that we checked before we were about to leave. We were feeling a little hopeless because we did find a pristine, like complete in box.
This was like mint in box, but it also cost $250.
It was really expensive.
Which I was not going to spend $250.
I didn't want to spend $250. Because I really just wanted to get this and I wanted to play it, is what it is.
Yeah.
So, we were kind of losing hope and we were a little disappointed because we couldn't afford the mint in box one. And then I wouldn't want to open it if I had the mint in box one. You know what I mean? Like, then what's the point? So anyhow, we wanted to just look for the cartridge, but we finally found it. It was incredible. It was a little scary because when we were pulling it out like of the stack, we didn't know how much it was.
I know, it could have been like $500.
I know, and we were like waiting for
that would have been a real bummer.
Someone to come help us, and so we were both like kind of holding our breath, hoping that it was within our budget. But yes.
By the end, though, we had so many people helping us look for this. So,
we really did.
So we went out to dinner with Chris Kohler, who works at Digital Eclipse, and he's like a real like pillar of the retro game community.
He would have found it for us.
He's like, okay, I'm doing a lot of searching myself for things I want. I'll look for this for you. We put out a call at our panel. Hey, anybody, can you help us find it?
And actually, it was after our panel that we found the mint and box.
Yeah, one of the people like chased us down. Like, we found it.
Yeah, and then he took us to the booth and everything, and it was beautiful, but it just wasn't one that we wanted to buy because we really wanted to play it and we didn't want to pay $250.
Yeah. So very happy that worked out.
Yeah.
Hopefully our impression of Mischief Makers is not that it's trash.
Yeah, we're gonna. The point is that we are going to play this game.
Right.
We're gonna do a playthrough of Mischief Makers.
I need to get my Nintendo 64
I have one.
Get some cable converters for modern cables and such, but yes.
Yeah, so we're really, really excited about this. And we both have never played this game before. I've now learned more about Mischief Makers than I ever thought I would need to know. But I'm excited to try this game out finally, now that we got our hands on it finally.
Right.
So it's going to be great.
Lastly, we did say last week that the panel that we did at Portland would be in this podcast.
Yeah.
We're doing a switcheroo because, again, we had so much that we had to put in this Mario episode.
Yeah.
We didn't want to sacrifice the Mario. So we're going to be releasing that as a standalone thing after Mario Week.
Right.
The topic is something that, works anytime. So, so it's not like it's going to get stale or anything.
Right.
You can look forward to that.
We'll see it
later.
In a week or so. Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, great time at PRGE. Mm-hmm. It's always confusing, but yeah, we had fun.
Yeah, thanks to the team over at Portland who really made us feel very, very welcome and at home there, and got to see a lot of great people and meet some people for the first time. So really loved it.
Thank you. Yes. That was awesome.
Last thing to say is if you have not been catching up on them, we are continuing with our Super Mario RPG streams on the Super NES. Mm-hmm. We're up to part 4 now.
We're doing really well.
We're making some good progress.
Yeah.
Those are all archived on our YouTube channel if you want to get caught up.
Yes.
We don't have a firm schedule for these, but we're doing about one a week. So just keep an eye out on our social stuff.
I'm feeling really good about,
You're feeling good about your contribution of not playing and not giving me tips?
I'm feeling very good about our ability to hopefully finish this game before the remake comes out. But I'm not going to pretend like I know what I'm doing because I haven't played this game before.
You know who does? Super Pistachio.
That's right.
Yes.
Super Pistachio, Elite Peach. We have a number of wonderfully just people that we can count on from our Patreon community that have been in our chat while we stream. Basically living, breathing game guides, which have been very helpful.
Right.
So... thank you.
Channeling the Nintendo gameplay counselors of yore.
Yeah. The game genies of yore are nigh.
Yes.
But yes.
All right.
Great.
I really want to sink my teeth into the juicy haunches of Super Mario Wonder. But first, we've got to shout out our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by HelloFresh. Thank you. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit.
I feel like, in terms of food, we're getting into the announcement season of food because Thanksgiving and Christmas, it's basically the E3 season for food.
Okay.
So it's always nice to have some of these easy, quick dinners that you can have as go-tos because you are going to get pretty busy coming up soon with all of your family gatherings and things like that as fall continues to roll on.
Yes.
And HelloFresh is so great with that. They have tons of seasonal recipes delivered to your door. You don't have to go to the grocery store. You can save a ton of time, and the food is always delicious.
There's over 40 different menus available every week, and you might even say, "Gosh, I don't have time to even, all the steps that HelloFresh does for me. I don't have time to do that." They have 15-minute meals. There are no excuses with that. 15 minutes is nothing. That's way faster than if you were to get something delivered or go run out and get something. So whatever time amount you have, whatever degree of involvement you want to have, HelloFresh is ready for you.
That's true. And they have some great fall-themed desserts. So if you want to impress your friends, you're invited to some dinner and you have to bring dessert. You can make your own. Don't tell them.
Do it like the pros. Don't make it yourself.
Keep it like a secret that you had help from HelloFresh, but pass it off as your home-baked apple caramel cake.
That's
apple
right.
Cider cake.
Genius.
Right? Yeah.
Go to HelloFresh.com/50KitKrysta and use code 50KitKrysta for 50% off plus free shipping. I repeat, go to HelloFresh.com/50KitKrysta and use code 50KitKrysta for 50% off plus free shipping. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit.
We're going to put the link right over here and also in the description below.
Yes. All right, Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Yes.
Our final thoughts.
This is it. Get your things out there because this is it.
So let's talk about kind of where we are with this. The game, like I said, we're hours away. The countdown is on. The game has leaked.
Well, yeah.
As was expected. I have not been exposed to any of that stuff. So,
but I'm not as worried about this one because it's not like a story-heavy game. Like I don't really care if it's not like Zelda, so I'm not as bothered.
Right.
It's almost like now when a game doesn't leak, that's more of a shock than when a game does leak. Yeah, every game leaks
all
now.
The big game, Spider-Man that's coming out the same day that leaked. The new Sonic game that leaked. I mean, that's just what happens.
What happens now.
I'm sure.
It's just our new reality.
I'm sure Nintendo is shocked at that though.
Well.
The voice actor for Mario has been revealed. We're going to talk about that in the news later on. But that has been, we've checked that box. We don't. Nobody's going to be furiously, speed running this when it comes out to find out
the credits because we do know who this person is.
Thanks to the leaks, we figured that out.
Great.
And they do have this big retail demo program where you can go into different stores, and I'm hearing that like different stores have different. It sounded like some places just kind of let you play for a long time, and
someone hacked it or what?
I'm not sure how that works.
I thought it was the same as the PAX demo, which was locked in about 15 minutes.
I don't know. I mean, we played it there, so I didn't need to hunt this down, but some people were saying, like, they just kind of let me keep going in this game.
All right.
So, okay, that's great.
Again, I think it's there's not as much of like a, oh my god, like you can't spoil this thing. It's just the level.
Yeah, when we were doing embargoes for Mario games like this, it was definitely a few levels down.
Many levels down. Like 10 levels down.
From several other big franchise where the team itself was more easygoing, but also it's like, it's a Mario game.
Especially the 2D Mario team. That team is like the most chill out of the bunch.
Right.
So
now, one thing that has not happened at the time of us recording this, I'm sure it's out by now.
It's out by now.
The game's Metacritic score.
So you can check us right now.
Right. We
going to Metacritic.
We promised we were recording this before.
Yeah, this is recorded on Mondays, and no Metacritic score is out yet.
Yeah. So we want to share our prediction. And just to give you some context, I'll run through the last couple 2D games.
Yep.
So let's go from old to new. So New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Before then, it started to get a little iffy of how reliable some of these were. So 87, pretty good.
Pretty good, and we both agree.
I vouch for that game. I do like that game.
Favorite ones, yeah.
Then we take a bit of a dip. New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the 3DS. Swap those numbers. 78.
Yeah, that one is
not
pretty
so
rough.
good.
Yeah, I would agree with that one too. Actually,
below 80 for a 2D Mario game.
It's a little embarrassing.
That's tough.
That's tough. That is tough.
New Super Mario Bros. U, the original on the Wii U, got an 84. Okay, and then the re-release, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, got an 80.
Barely.
So by then, I think people were just getting a little
tired.
They were looking at their watch of, are we still doing this?
Still doing this?
What year is this?
Yeah, agreed. So I think we're all ready to move on. So great that we are moving on.
So what is your big prediction for this?
I think it's going to sit at a 92.
Oh, okay.
I think this game is going to review quite well.
That's very high.
I think it's going to review quite well.
I think it's going to be high. I don't think it's going to be quite that high. I'm going to say an even 90.
Even 90, okay.
Yes. We were just talking to a game developer who made a very interesting analogy, which saying that kind of 2D platformers are to games as comedies are to movies and film.
It's so true because it's hard for people to take a comedy, like say you're at the Academy Awards.
It's not going to win that.
It's not going to win an Academy Award because it's a comedy. But the work that it takes to create a really good comedy that everyone likes and is like high quality is actually very difficult. And that's what it's kind of like, I think, for 2D platformers as well. And
they're crowd pleasers for the public at large. So, critics might get a little hoity-toity about it, but, this game's going to sell bonkers. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Exactly.
So there is this strange-ish disconnect of how people perceive a 2D platformer.
Yeah.
And
not to say that the quality is any less, but it's just that almost they're not taken as seriously.
Especially in a year where we're just inundated with 100-hour RPGs. Yeah. This is decidedly not that.
Right.
So that's a reason why I think 90 is kind of the cap on what I'm sure is going to be a super well-made game. I haven't seen anybody say one disparaging thing about this game, period.
I haven't seen anybody say anything at all. I think the thing that's going to push it over that 90 mark just slightly, this is something that's really attracted me to this particular 2D Mario game as well, is just how off the wall can these developers get? Like, how zany can they get? They're already, just from the little bit that we've seen from, looking at, obviously, the stuff that we saw in the Direct, playing the game a little bit, you can just see that they're, like, a little off the rails for this one. Like, they're, like...
In a good way.
Exactly.
Right.
That's why I think, hopefully, it means the game is going to be scoring higher, because I think they just went, they let loose.
Yeah.
And you can tell that they did. And if that is kind of carried through the entirety of this game, like this sort of unhinged nature of it, like, I think it could bust past that 90 cap. So that's the only reason why I'm predicting a bit higher, because I agree with you. I think that there is a perception of these 2D games, obviously from the history of these 2D Mario games, you can see the scores are just, sort of sub 90, but yeah, there's something about this one. There's something very off the wall weird that's really good, and I think is much needed to inject this level of like creativity and freshness into this type of Mario game that I think they're going to pull off.
Okay.
So that's why I think that. But hey,
I think also the 11-year gap. There's kind of like a whole new generation of people reviewing games who haven't had as much exposure to this kind of game.
Sure.
And maybe haven't gone through that thought exercise of how to evaluate it. Because it's interesting, because outside of Mario and Sonic, like, there's not a lot of other 2D platforming franchises. Like, there's a lot of one-off indies that do it really well.
Right.
But again, it's like it has become kind of a more niche genre in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, the style of it obviously is very much rooted in sort of traditional classic games. So yeah, there could be a scenario where people that don't have that long-standing history or have that kind of nostalgia or just knowledge foundation of these types of games, like, they could go either way, actually. They could either be very harsh on it because it's not like Last of Us, right? Or it could swing the other way and they could be like extremely positive because it's something so different for them. And so that's why I'm saying that weirdness, like, it could really work in their favor, because if you just get someone to kind of surprise them in that way, where some of these bigger 100-hour sort of narrative-driven, like, cinematic games, like, it takes a lot to surprise somebody with that now, because everyone does it, So if you could surprise somebody with, like, a drugged-out acid trip of a game, like, hey, it could work. It's just crazy enough to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Nintendo's job of marketing the game. When we did this for Tears of the Kingdom, I think we had kind of a mixed feeling about, doing a good job on the couple things that they did, but maybe leaving some meat on the bone.
Yeah.
As far as things that they could have done but didn't.
Right.
I have the opposite feeling of this one, where I think on the whole they've done a very good job.
I do too. I think that they did a really good job of marketing this game. They're not shackled by this sort of fear / fixation on spoilers that the Zelda team is.
Right.
And it's totally fine that the Zelda team is. That's just, they really want to preserve that aspect of player, discovery, and that's completely understandable. But you don't have that baggage with Mario games.
Well, they also didn't announce their game 6 years ago.
They also didn't.
They announced the game like
2 months ago. Yeah, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because I feel like, again, they're just unbothered by it.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, we don't care. Like, there's no like big spoiler. Like, okay, sure, some of the power-ups or whatever you don't want to get that moment of Mario turning into an elephant obviously was an important surprise and delight moment that they probably didn't want to get spoiled, so they have a couple of things like that, but it's very different vibe than with a Zelda game or with a big narrative driven game where the team just is not like as fixated on that. And I think having that freedom opens them up for more, cooler marketing, more interesting ways of showcasing the game. I thought that the Mario Direct followed immediately by hands-on at PAX was chef kiss, picture perfect.
And there was even another layer of that where they had people in New York, like impressions hitting just before PAX.
Right.
So it's like, well, you're going to hear what the public thinks, but first hear from the quote experts.
Right. And the development team was there to do all the
right.
interviews, to talk about, all of the inspiration behind the game. So that kind of like sort of taking the sort of the audience on that journey is really effective. And we've done that for other games when we were at Nintendo. And that is really like the masterclass of how you are, how you should, launch a new game. That's really like, if you do everything right, that journey that you take your consumer on is like the perfect way to do it.
Yeah, and the short window from announcement to launch is really something Nintendo does super well.
Yeah.
And I think that 6-year wait, they certainly never intended it for it to be, that long.
Yeah.
It did trip them up in a lot of ways, and it's hard to get momentum when you have that much time in between anything happening. So, yeah, they could just keep the momentum really high and go from the announcement to the Direct and everything that happened there, and before you know it, the game's almost out, and you've been very steadily revealing information and having people talk about different things.
Yes.
So
it's tough on the team, obviously, because it's a very short window to do everything.
Yeah.
But with a game like this, where you don't really have to explain that much, like everyone knows what a 2D Mario game is. You have some foundational knowledge of like what this game is. So this short marketing window actually works really well because they just need to have a little bit of time to talk about some of the new breakout things, like new power-ups and new levels and new little details. But it's not like you have to explain like a brand new concept to somebody, right? So you don't really need that long ramp up. So I think that was really effective for them.
And they have had some other, kind of outside of, their usual activities. They did put out, they may still have more of these, those sort of, short vertical videos that were showing off the personality of the game, which were really well done. They got people talking.
Yes, I love those. Those are fun. They're like humorous and cute. And
Yeah. And, people were pointing out, like, again, it feels like this game is taking inspiration from the movie, of showing more personality from the characters, which I think is something that people have always wanted.
Yeah, and I think they probably learned a lot from having the movie earlier this year as well, and being a part of what that could feel like. You don't ever know until you do it, and I think this is the direct result of the after effects of learning about how people react to something that has backstory and personality and expression. I think those little short vertical videos that they put out was a great way to kind of capture some of that humor and also a bit of weirdness, that this game clearly is this game's identity. And I'm glad that movie inspired them to do that, because a lot of times, I don't think even they kind of fully thought through, like, what is Mario's personality? What is Bowser's personality?
Yeah.
But beyond the basics, So having that deeper layer there because of the movie is really awesome.
We learned a lot about Bowser and got some great meme fuel in the process, so it was a win-win.
It definitely was a win-win.
Yes.
I did also see that they had these really cool wrapped double-decker buses in the UK.
Oh.
That they were doing a sweepstakes around. Like if you take a photo and you submit a hashtag.
Oh, that's cool.
Like this kind of like, out of home or sort of this type of marketing is very difficult to get approval from Nintendo on. So it must mean that they're just kind of a little looser on this, which is awesome. And we always, when we launched games where the team had a bit more like appetite for some of these more like stunty ideas, it was always fun. So I hope that that they're able to like have a little bit of fun with the marketing as well. And it definitely shows through, and it's been great to see it.
All right, so high marks for the marketing. Next, let's see if we can predict how the sales are going to look.
Yeah.
And we did this in a previous episode.
But we don't remember what it was.
And I think we both quickly forgot and we weren't able to find what it was. So we're starting fresh on this again.
If you find the episode and you want to call us out, please feel free. But I can't find it.
So what window of time are you looking at for this?
Are we thinking launch window? Like,
well, what is the launch window? Now to the end of the year?
Launch window is like 3 months, right?
So you could say now to the end of the year.
Sure, like through the holidays, right?
January 1st, 2024.
Okay, why are you looking at me like that?
Because you're being very wishy-washy about this.
Okay. I think it's going to do quite well at the end of the holiday season. Gosh. 25 million?
In 3 months? Wow.
Pokemon did 30.
Not in 3 months.
Was it in 3 months?
That's like in a year or something.
No, it wasn't in a year.
No, I don't think it's going to be that. So I'm going to look at a different period of time. I'm going to look at a year. And again, who knows what the state of the Switch will be in a year.
Well, in a year.
Yeah, I think this will be firmly in the 20 million plus.
Yeah.
I think, 20, 25 million, I think is pretty
lifetime sales.
Yeah, within a year. Yeah.
Yeah. 3 months, I guess we can go a little. I don't know. I feel like this game might be very surprising. So I have high hopes for this game.
Honestly. I mean, it is a perfect holiday game because it's something that all types of people will want to get.
This movie audience that has the awareness now, like you can't discount them. You really can't. Like this movie is still so popular. I see people watching it all the time, like literally all the time. People talk about Mario so much now. It's so on people's just like normal non-gaming people's radar. So I don't know. I feel like it might be really high, and I'd love to see, if there is any sort of like, I bet it's really hard to do this, but kind of a correlation between the two, of like how big did the audience actually expand after this movie, and did they really translate into Nintendo's core business of video games? Like, did they really build that bridge? Did it happen? Because that'd be really interesting, but. Yeah, I have high hopes for this game. I think people want Mario badly. And they will pay money for him.
It is something that it was a hackneyed phrase, but it does appeal to everybody. Young, old, experienced, not. It's got multiplayer. It's got online. It's really got everything you could want.
You have a huge install base. Yeah. You have new people that are made aware of Mario from a different thing that's not a game. I don't know. The ground is very the stage is set in a perfect way for them to just knock it out of the park.
All right. Well, however you slice, it's going to be a big success.
Yeah.
Look at the game itself. What are you most excited for?
I know I've been saying this so much, but I just want to know how weird it is. Take me on the acid trip. I'm ready. I'm ready for it. I want it to be. I want it to be ridiculous. I want to laugh. I want to look at my Switch and say, why and what is this? I just want all of that. I want the weird zaniness that this team I know has in them. And I want them to just fire hose it at me, So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like some of the power-ups that we've seen are just the beginning of the weirdness too. I know there's going to be more weird power-ups and stuff like that. I want to see a Bowser elephant. I want all of it. I just give it to me. It's gonna be good.
I think I'm most hyped for the badges. The Mario 2D gameplay has been very set for a long time. This is how the game operates. This is how everything works, and it's always super fun. But now knowing that you can sort of customize it to even further enhance the way that you like to play, or to push you down another path of, what if I try this? Or what if I want to get into playing this way that I never really could?
Right.
I think that's super fun. That was something that I never really considered the Mario series going into, especially a 2D Mario game.
Yeah, totally.
And we did get a taste of those at Nintendo Live, and they were really neat. So I think that's going to be a major incentive to come back to the game and try it again different ways and find your favorite. And again, it could completely change up the way that I play. Like the way that I play Mario is like I go pretty fast through the levels. I like to do that, but maybe there's something
that makes you pause.
Something else that gives me another. Yeah, it's like, oh well, now I'm very focused on doing this thing that I never really got that focused on before because I have this badge and it's super fun to do this thing now. So that's really what I was like. I want to get a lot of these badges. I want to try them out. I want to see which ones I like. That's very exciting for me.
The thing that's really cool about the badges that I think has been like a really cool sort of through line for a lot of these Nintendo games is this idea of like letting you explore the game how you want to. Like we see this in Tears of the Kingdom. We saw this in Odyssey. We see it in Breath of the Wild. And like this, even in a 2D Mario game where it could seemingly be very straightforward, like you just run, to the right or whatever. Like having an injection of this like player agency and your ability to explore and play it your way, like that could be really cool, in a 2D Mario game where I'm like you, like I'm not like a collect everything or seek out every secret, except for Super Mario World, which I did and I loved. So maybe there's some elements of that really lets you explore and get those secrets that they've put into this. That would be really cool.
Yeah. Any areas of concern, lingering doubts?
I still do have a bit of concern around the multiplayer, both locally.
Oh, really?
And the online multiplayer. Like, I just feel like this game is going to be like an eyeful, every little nook and cranny of that screen is just like in your face all the time. And we saw some of this when we were playing together at PAX. And I guess I would never play the game with like random strangers. That was what
you couldn't tell them to knock it off, like what happened to us.
Exactly. And also that was a child, so you don't yell at the child that was trying to just like, it was just being a kid. But yeah, I think if you were playing with somebody, you would have to like be on the same wavelength of like, this is how we're going to go through these levels together, and like, hey, don't just be nabbit and run as fast as you can so no one can do anything else. I think we were both noting some of the differences from other new Super Mario Brother multiplayers where you like can't really interact with each other.
Yeah.
So there's some lingering, like I just need to play it more and with somebody that I actually like you, so that we could really like understand what that multiplayer feels like, and if it's fun. And then also the online, like I'm a little skeptical still until I try it out for myself. It just could be like a mess.
That's a fair point. Any Nintendo online, you always have to see it for yourself. And actually something for people to take note of when the reviews hit is sometimes Nintendo will or will not like really make an effort to make that available to people reviewing the game. So they'll definitely call it out if they are. But if it's not, then that's probably why. And we'll just have to wait and see until the thing goes live and try it
goes online
for ourselves.
Exactly.
But yeah, that point of interacting with the other players has made a bit of a comeback. There was kind of a video that was getting passed around where somebody was really arguing for the new Super Mario Brothers way of bumping into people. And
throwing people, and jumping off each other.
It seemed like the consensus was, no, this is actually going to be for the best. But, we won't know until we play a lot more of the game.
Right.
And that point of like, in a 4-player game, keeping track of your character, is that easy to do? Is that hard to do? We'll find out.
Yeah.
As far as the game itself, I don't have too many other points of concern. I'm quite confident that it'll be great. My point of concern is just around the community itself. And my PSA is like, don't get caught up in some of these like hot social media debates where it's sometimes easy to question, like, is the person making this argument, do they even feel this way, or are they just like baiting for engagement? Because there's a lot of ways that this could go. So we have classic console warrior stuff. We got Spider-Man and Mario. There's going to be a lot of like,
the Spider-Man is Metacritic.
Oh, the Metacritic was 1 point higher. Fat L for Nintendo. Swag. Something like that. That's dumb. Who cares? There's the Mario versus Sonic thing. I mean, we all know which is better, but that could be another point of some disagreement or some argument. I haven't seen this happen yet, and I'm very happy about it.
Are you going to put it out there?
Many episodes ago I did. It was the whole, does this game deserve to be $60? I actually haven't seen that, but maybe when the reviews come out or if there's some information about how long the game is. Like that happened to Spider-Man 2.
That did, yeah.
When people are like, oh, Spider-Man's too short, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
That's another argument that people could float out there, whether they believe it or not. Mm-hmm. You can get paid on Twitter.com if you have a big enough audience to just put out these engagement tweets. That's a thing you can do now.
Yeah.
So my advice is...
Don't get wrapped up in the discourse.
No, my advice is ignore all of that. Play the game.
And have your own opinion.
Really savor it. And don't worry so much about what other people might be saying.
Play all the games. All the games that you want to play.
The games you want, they're all great.
You should play it and just have your own opinion about it and just, be
Even that Sonic game got pretty good reviews too.
Yeah, if you like Sonic and you want to play that game and you enjoy that game, great.
Right.
That's a good thing.
So that's my concern, is that people get too caught up in, arguing whatever point or trying to defend the game.
Yeah.
The game's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
So enjoy the game, play the game, and look out for people trying to pull some funny business.
We're getting close to TGA, Game Awards, Game of the Year, nomination season, and all that stuff. So that could also spur.
Right. There's just some traps.
Some of these comments.
Some banana peels on the ground around this game.
Yes.
There's also people 11 years. There's a lot of people who maybe haven't come up with the Mario game. Well, who cares about this? This is for boomers. Blah blah blah. That kind of stuff. Just ignore it.
Yeah, have fun and play the game for what it is.
Potential surprises with this game. We don't know everything about this game, even though it's leaked.
Yeah. Is there going to be a thing where the game ends and it's literally double the size? I don't.
That's my surprise.
I think that's very likely.
I'm not falling. we got pulled for a fast one at Nintendo by people from Nintendo who refused to tell us this.
Yeah, but that could be it.
That does seem to be a trend.
A trend, yes.
In more modern Mario games, I do think. You could be a surprise, whoa, the scope of this game is way bigger.
There's going to be some, what, they said 7 worlds? Okay, there's going to be an 8th world.
There'll be something
There's going to be something, yeah. I think there's going to be more surprising power-ups and suits and stuff as well. Yeah. I definitely think that there's something else beyond Elephant Mario that is at the scale or the level of Elephant Mario.
Oh, really? I'm not sure I do.
Oh, really?
I mean, there might be in one level that's this is the Wonder effect, and it's a one level thing.
Oh, I think there's more.
I don't know if
suits. I think there's more suits.
I don't know about that.
Well, let's see what happens.
We shall see.
Yeah, I really want there to be.
Yeah.
I want there to be a Super Mario 3 level of suits.
I mean, there are three new suits transformations in this.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty healthy number, and
again,
I'm sure
items too, cool items that let you do weird stuff. I want to know what those are.
Okay, yeah.
So I do think that they're in there.
Yeah, how again, spoiler, but 7 years later, Mario Odyssey had the Mario 64 world.
Yes.
What if it was oh, well, now you're in Mario 3 or Mario World, but it's set in the aesthetics of Mario Wonder.
Oh yeah. That's they do a lot of let's throw back to nostalgia sometimes. They might have a little moment in the game that's a celebration of Mario's history. Those are always fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see if there's something like that.
Now, finally, we just said a moment ago, do not fall for people baiting you into Game of the Year debates, but we are going to do just that ourselves. That's our last thing on this list.
Yeah.
Does this game have Game of the Year potential?
Best family game. They're locking this down right now, baby.
They're
so guaranteed for best family game, you guys.
Now, has a best family game nominee ever also been nominated for Game of the Year at the Game Awards?
Mario Odyssey.
Was family game?
That was best family game.
Okay, so there is a precedent here.
There is a precedent here. No, this is literally going to be 2017 all over again, where it's going to be.
Oh my God, Mario and Zelda.
They're gonna have Tears of the Kingdom and Mario Wonder both nominated for a TGA for Game of the Year. Gosh. Mario Wonder is gonna win Best Family Game, Avi, and then Tears of the Kingdom is gonna win Game of the Year. I'm calling it now. It's like a time warp.
Oh my God!
You can't make this stuff up. There's gonna be a debate at Nintendo. Is Tears of the Kingdom and Mario Wonder? Is this splitting the vote?
Bad blood between the teams.
Bad blood.
Blah, blah.
Blood between the teams. Or it could be one of those things where like, well, we've split the vote, so I guess the winner is Spider-Man.
Yeah. Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's.
Wow.
Or like, yeah, something ridiculous
That's hilarious.
will happen. I'm glad I'm not there. I'm glad to be on the sidelines of this, but
I mean, it seems like the two
hilarious stuff.
front runners right now are Tears of the Kingdom
And Baldur's Gate. Yeah.
And I think Spider-Man has some heat. You know,
Right now it hasn't heat, obviously.
It's not out yet, but the reviews are great.
Yeah.
And there'll probably be like, you know, a couple others that.
Yeah.
But I could see this being included in the handful of like, oh, these are the top 5 or 6 games of the year.
Right.
I don't see it getting a lot of this is the game of the year.
I don't think so.
But I do see it being included in that
included in the conversation.
In the short list.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Absolutely. And it deserves to, I'm sure it deserves to be there too. So
yeah.
That's what that is my like play-by-play prediction of how it's going to happen, by the way. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Like I said, the demo is out at some retailers. I don't know if it's the case outside the US. Do you know?
I don't know actually.
So
maybe it's in the UK because they've been doing a lot of marketing.
Sorry, folks who are not in this country, but we did ask our Patreon subscribers who had played it what they thought, so we could get some more impressions. And Jay Rando said, I got to play it over the weekend. I loved it. The levels are colorful and creative. I love how the game controls and the few badges I got to try. I can see the badge system adding a ton of replayability. This game feels like it would be really fun to speedrun. The demo has made me even more excited to play the game.
Great.
Very satisfied. Demo.
And very similar to our impressions when we played the demos as well. So.
Torcheeks says, I went to Target twice these past few days to try it out, and I'm still thinking about how fun it was. Whether I wanted to quickly fly through a level or take my time, it was a blast. The badge system is a great replacement for character-specific abilities, allowing to mix and match your favorite character with an ability that they might not normally have. I've never been a huge on 2D Mario despite being a massive Mario fan, and now I'm eagerly counting down the days till release. People like the badges.
I was going to say, people seem to love the badge system. Yeah, I need to spend more time with it to really, I think, fall in love with it, but I'm excited.
And finally, Gartooth says, in the demo, I was playing the cave level, and by chance, I had the crouching high jump badge and the drill suit at the same time. To my surprise, I was able to combine the two abilities to leap from the floor to the ceiling instantly and then dig along the ceiling to bypass obstacles in the level. In that moment, I immediately felt that Nintendo magic and knew they made something amazing with this game.
Wow. That's so cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to those moments of discovery that you can have now with this game and with the badge system.
Totally.
So that is exactly... I think that's why it's gonna be over 90, because you'll have like these little these moments of like, what the heck?
That's like a mini Tears of the Kingdom. Like, oh, this works.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I can do that.
Yes, like this is weird, and I don't understand why it's in this game, but I like it.
Right.
And it's cool.
Right.
You know, I love that.
So next week's episode, we will have big impressions on Super Mario Wonder. So come back for that.
Impressions.
We have a few more things on Mario Wonder in the news, but we do have a Mario themed story time for this week. Had to have it for Mario Week.
We do, yes.
This is a story that I've heard you tell. This is before I joined Nintendo. You've told it to me vaguely, but I'm excited to get the full story drop today.
Yeah, this is a really shocking story.
Oh.
If you have a sensitive stomach, though, I'm going to give you a warning, a content warning. This does involve throwing up. I did not.
Why do we have two stories about throwing up in
I did not
the span of a month?
Up.
Neither did I. I wasn't there.
Okay, it wasn't me. But it does involve that. So if you don't want to listen to a throw up story, then skip past this. But this is a story about the launch of Super Mario Galaxy, the first game.
Yeah. You were really there for that?
It was like my first month.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, it's my first month.
What year did you start?
2016?
No.
2006.
2006? Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
September 2006 is when I.
How did you pass those 2 years before I showed up? Whatever did you do?
Well, I was busy cleaning up this mess. No, just kidding. I didn't clean it up. Yeah, exactly. I was there 2 years before you showed up, like a full 2 years before you showed up.
Goodness.
Maybe even a little over. Yeah, because you showed up in January.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so yeah, this is one of the first things that I was kind of in the peripheral of working on this. I wasn't like leading it. I was just like an assistant at that time, so I was still learning the ropes and everything. But this was sort of like the big a bigger game launch at the time. We had another PR manager. The person that you replaced was the PR manager that was working on the launch of Galaxy, and he had this big idea of doing something like in zero gravity.
Purple cow.
MBDB, out of the box, out of this world idea. But yes, it was one of those like PR stunt ideas. And the idea was to have someone in the Mario costume. And there's a place in Las Vegas at the time where you could go and have like a 0G experience. Like anyone can do it.
Right.
They put you in this like tube.
Oh, okay. So I thought this was because you can also do this in airplanes.
Yeah.
Where the plane basically goes up and down and free falls.
No, it was like in like a tube.
It wasn't that.
No.
Okay. Great.
It's
yes,
almost,
I've heard of this too.
It's like you look like a flying squirrel.
Yeah.
But you can do it. Like anyone can go and do it. It's like
and it feels like you're just suspended.
It feels like you're just like floating, suspended.
But there's some air like blasting you.
There's
from the
air
bottom.
like blasting you from the top and bottom, so that you're basically suspended in the middle.
Oh, the top too.
That's how you get that feeling of like 0G.
I guess otherwise you would just fly out
to the ceiling, right? Ouch. That would be painful.
Okay.
So the idea was to do this stunt where the Mario costume character would go into the 0G chamber, tube, or whatever, and then we would also get like these great photos. Of Mario, like sort of in zero grab, like in IRL, right? Costume character IRL. There was also this component where like Buzz Aldrin was part of it.
Okay.
And we were like doing some sort of like photo shoot. He was not in 0G, but also
that's old hat to him. It's old Buzz.
He already knows. Yeah. He already knows how to 0G. But there was like some component where like there was like an astronaut and like like there was some kind of.
Is he a big Mario fan? Buzz?
No, of course not.
I heard Buzz Aldrin's actually quite a surly character.
He's very surly. Yeah, very. He's
over
surly.
it. I've been to the moon. I don't care what you have to say.
I know. Hey. Okay, what can you say to that, right? So yeah, there was so it was very it's Mario Galaxy, first time Mario goes to space. Obviously, gotta go big. We're still in the Wii days.
Yeah, gotta do it.
And there's still like this perception, I think, at the time where it's like Wii is like so 0 to 99, like senior citizens like Wii.
Yes.
There's a shot that this game could appeal to like everybody. Let's do this stunty.
Buzz Aldrin, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do this like stunty thing that's just, it's not very focused on like the gaming audience or anything like that, right? It's it's very much for like that shock value.
Okay.
So I was coordinating the costume, the actor. They fly out to Vegas, and we also have somebody that was helping out on the Golan team, a person that that had worked with us later on as well for a while after you had joined Nintendo. She's very nice, just the sweetest person, and was very good at her job. So PR manager, person from Golan, hired actor in Las Vegas, events team. They all go out there, and we get the costume character, we get the actor in the costume, get him into the tube, get these photos.
Great.
This person, this costume, first of all, is just
You've been in the costume. Tell us what it's like. I have been in this costume. How does this work? How do you get into this thing? How does it feel?
Yeah, the costume is actually not that bad in terms of other mascot costumes, I think, because the pants and the shirt and all that stuff, the shoes, like those are all pretty easy to put on.
But is it one piece?
No, it's a shirt, and all, the material is sort of this like foam kind of, like almost like neoprene, like a scuba suit. And there's like, it's like getting into like real overalls and like a shirt and like buttons or whatever. The shoes, obviously the feet are huge, like much bigger than any human feet. So you're kind of wearing these socks and then you put it into like a shoe in a shoe. But it's hard to walk around in because it feels like you have to really pick up
wobbly,
your feet.
Probably.
Big old gloves, which are hard to move around in. The head is really roomy inside, but it's really hard to see.
Like, well, what keeps it from like
you're in like
flying around?
Almost like a bicycle.
Is there
helmet.
Some sort of thing
like
tethering it to your skull?
Yeah, and then like a little chin strap, but it's very heavy.
That could get really fatiguing.
It can get very heavy. Your neck starts to feel very like fatigued. That's why the costume can only stay out for like
15
minutes. 15 minutes before you have to.
That's like an official thing.
It's for like safety.
Person needs frequent breaks.
Right, and it's very hot in there.
Yeah.
Like usually if you get into the costume, you're just wearing like a sports bra.
And can you actually see?
You see at the mouth.
But what do you see?
You kind of see your vision is very limited because you see sort of the ground in front of you, so you won't you're not gonna trip and fall, but you can't really you don't have any peripheral.
And there's probably like a big mesh.
Yeah, there's a mesh thing.
Like you're not seeing perfectly even.
Right,
then.
and then that's why you have a handler that holds Mario's hand.
It sounds
basically.
like a nightmare. And what is that? There's a height limit.
You have to be under 5'3". Okay. Under 5'3".
So you sailed under that.
I'm a little short for it because the pants were a little long.
Oh, you were too short.
Yeah. If you were 5'2", 5'1" is like the perfect
Is that
height.
kind of standard for a lot of these costumes?
I don't know. Luigi's taller. You need to be a little taller for Luigi.
Okay.
I think the Kirby costume you need to be small because you're like
that one
in like a
really
balloon.
Small.
Basically, you have to be like maybe my height.
That'd be good for you.
So it's not the best thing to get into, honestly. Like it's tough. The head is really heavy.
I don't like where this is going.
So you're in the Mario costume. You got to keep everything on, right? And you're in 0G, basically. And that can't be comfortable. I mean, I did not do that myself, but having worn the costume, like just standing in real life was pretty hard. So I can't imagine like how you keep everything sort of on your body and keep yourself oriented. And I think what's hard about it is that you can't see.
You don't know what's going on.
So you don't have any sort of like anchor. You know, like when you're dancing, you spin, they say like pick an anchor point and then spin so you don't get dizzy. Like when you spin, just look for your anchor again so you don't get. I was a gymnast, so they used to tell me that when you do backflips, like pick an anchor point. So when you're
that helps you from getting dizzy.
Right, when you're doing a backflip, you're going this way, so you gotta look for.
You say something. This as if I would know.
You gotta look for something, and then you won't get dizzy, and it actually works really well. So I think it's really hard because you don't have an anchor point because you're in a giant head in 0G.
This is not good. Did anybody ask these questions?
This PR manager was really shaky, honestly. And that's why you were hired, because that person was not long for the job. This might be strike one of his potential unemployment. Anyways, so this actor who is just a hired costume actor, not someone that, probably has been in, he's not like a professional Mario costume wearer or something like that. But this woman basically pukes inside the costume. There's no air hole. There's no out. You're in the head, the giant Mario head, and you lose your cookies in there. In the 0G, it's gonna be like a Jamba Juice situation in there. You know what I mean? It's gonna be messy. So this happens almost.
Jamba Juice? Why'd you have to say that?
You're being like swirled, basically. So you're in. So this happens like immediately.
Oh,
like
really?
This was like the first 10 minutes. Not even.
It's
like
a terrible idea.
5 minutes. Now like take the whole thing, and we have to like take the costume off this person. We have to like hose down the inside of the head. We're just hosing this thing down. Good thing it was contained to the inside of the head. Good thing, quote unquote, that it was contained to the inside because they didn't like leak out. But guess what? Didn't get the photos yet.
So what?
Someone else has to go back in.
No.
Yeah. So this person is very sick, the actor.
Yeah.
And can't go back in. Can't go back in.
I don't blame them.
Don't blame them. They're very sick. They're not going to be able to do this. Guess who has to go back in?
Who?
The golem person.
No.
That person.
Oh my God.
Who you know who I'm talking about.
In the puked up?
Yep.
No.
This is why you don't work in an agency.
Oh, man.
Yeah. She went back in there and basically sucked it up. And
phrasing?
Well,
poor phrasing.
She held her breath and she did it. We got the photos, but she had to do it.
Hazard pay? No.
Isn't that terrible?
That is awful. This is so much worse than when you told it to me in passing.
We had to get that costume like professionally like bio cleaned or whatever.
But not until these photos with the other person inside.
We already paid for it, so we needed the photos for the launch. I'm gonna see if I can find these photos. I'm sure they're out there somewhere still. But yeah, I can't believe that she went back. She went in there. I can't believe it. There is those instances. This is how I ended up in the costume, where like some actor doesn't show up, or like you need something, and like there's no other way, and there's nobody else. You have a height limit. There's nobody else that can wear this thing. Like you have to do it. It happened to me. I mean, no one puked in it, obviously, but
pays to be tall.
But it's very swampy in there after someone else wears it, and you have to get into it. It's not the best, let me tell you. It's not the best. So,
disgusting.
Long hot shower. Long hot shower. But anyways, I'm sorry if the story was horrifyingly gross for all of you. Please forgive me, but that happened.
This is just like the lengths of like this dumb stunt is like a life or death thing where it's like we will do anything to get it done. It's like when I had it's a very different thing, but when I was stuck in the blizzard and I left, and it was like, well, what are you going to do to make this up? It's like, I just saved my life.
Here it is.
Oh, you found it?
I found it.
Oh, that's Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah.
He's fine.
He's fine.
Yeah. See, you should have put him in the costume.
Look at this photo. Like, I'm gonna puke.
Put Buzz in the costume.
Yeah, these are the photos.
No, in the costume.
Oh, in the costume.
Stuff him in there, yeah.
Yeah, but look how sad. This
I don't want to look at this.
This is what happened. I will put these photos in the in this video, but yes. Yeah.
All right,
Gosh,
we gotta move.
I felt so bad for that person. I really truly felt so bad for that person.
This is too much.
It was a lot. Anyways, there we go.
Wow.
Moving on.
Let's move on.
Yes.
Let's move on to the games we are playing. We are saying farewell to some major games that we have been playing, that we have wrapped up just in time for Mario Wonder.
I'm not wrapped yet.
Oh, you haven't? Oh,
I have a story for you on this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you go first.
We actually both have some wild stories for these.
Okay.
So Baldur's Gate 3 I finished. I finished it on Thursday night, which was the night before we went for Portland.
Yes.
Which was perfect. I was like, great. Yeah, because sometimes, when you have a gap with the game, it's like, what was I doing? Where did I
hate that.
So perfect. I really wanted to finish it before then. I did.
Yes.
There was... Now, I kept saying to you, like, I hope this game doesn't do what so many games do, where you think you get to the end,
but
and
it's
like,
not the end.
No, here comes Act 4, and it's another 25 hours.
Right.
Like, this game did not do that. It definitely had, like, an ending area that felt, like, big and different.
Mm-hmm. You said you were getting messages like, you can't go back now.
Yeah,
so you kind of knew.
I had a feeling.
Coming.
I was like, this game's not going to do that. And yeah, there's like a big, ending battle with the big baddie and a lot of dramatic things that are happening. So I finally beat that, and I get into my ending. And, the thing about this game is there's so many paths and so many characters. Like, every ending is truly, like, unique.
Right.
And I got about a minute into my ending, and the game crashed.
Why does this always happen to you?
Well, you seem to think it's my fault. It's not.
Is it though?
So the game, I did start to have some performance issues in the later half of the game, and I think I know why. I think it's tied to how many save games I had.
Right.
Because basically, like when the game autosaves or when you make a save, it just adds it to a list of ongoing saves.
Right. It's not like deleting an old save or replacing it with your new save.
And the game has a limit of saves that you kind of have to manually manage, which got a little bit annoying actually. Yeah. It's like the game should maybe do a better job of this. But as I got deeper into the game and I had close to a full set of saves, the game did crash a couple times in the second half that it had not crashed at all. And also just got some other bugs that I didn't see in the first half either, where I would be in like a dialogue scene and somebody's mouth would be moving and there's no dialogue. There's no sound. Yeah. So like, things were just not...
So little glitches and stuff like that.
Right. But for it to crash in the ending...
So you had already gotten through the entire boss battle?
Yes, which was a big fight. I saved before that. But obviously...
It was a cutscene, so you couldn't save after.
Right, it just went right into the ending cutscene.
Okay, so you're in the ending cutscene.
But I got a minute into it. Yes, and the game crashed.
How did it crash? Just like froze, or...?
Well, it's just like what happens on a PS5. It was like, the game has stopped working, or,
Oh my god. That's so frustrating.
And at that point, I was like, oh gosh, that battle was like kind of a handful. Do I want to do it again? And I was like, well, maybe I can find the ending on YouTube.
Which is what happened to you with Yakuza.
And finish it there. And I quickly realized, like, again, there's no two endings that are exactly the same. So I was like, I can't do this. I have to do the battle again.
Okay.
So I did it again.
Wow.
It was, I knew more what to do in the battle this time, so it wasn't quite as long, but it was still annoying.
But still, you had to do it again. Yeah.
And I got to the ending. But the thing that was really interesting was I made the exact same choices at the end of the game, but some of the things that happened in that first minute of the ending were different than when I did it the first time, which kind of...
Oh, wow.
It makes me wonder, like, what would the totality of that ending have been?
Right. If it's that kind of small detail.
I didn't change anything, any of the choices that I made leading up to that. I didn't change any of it. So I don't know why it was different. And some of it was different in some fairly significant ways. Like not like wildly significant, but like I was like, I would have liked to have known like how that whole thing
played out.
Yeah. So I might go back and sift through people have like hours and hours long compilations of all the endings.
Okay.
Just to find the parts that I missed.
But it's for your specific character class.
Right.
That's going to be hard.
And all the people I had in my party and all of that.
Yeah.
So, not ideal, but I did wrap the game up. It's great. I can definitely understand why it's a Game of the Year contender.
Yeah.
So, and it's good timing because now I get a little bit of a rest from big game to big game before Mario Wonder, and it's been nice.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy that it was a barrage of just these.
What was I playing before this? I can't even remember.
Diablo 3. We played that for.
We were playing something even before. Oh, Starfield.
We played Starfield.
So we went from Diablo to Starfield. It's too many giganto
RPGs.
We
didn't even finish Diablo. We still have to go back to that.
They got a new season of that starting.
Yeah, so that's good.
So yeah, I am enjoying having a little bit of a breather.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe there's a little indie game that I can find, but because we were at the retro show, and on the airplane I was playing Tecmo Bowl on the Switch.
Yeah.
And actually last night I ended up in the mood because it was Sunday and I was watching some football. I was like,
you're playing Tecmo Bowl.
Well, I had Tecmo Super Bowl, which is the far superior version. I played that on the NES for a little bit last night.
And then you watching football.
But tonight I think I might see if there's something really short that I could just
dabble.
Check out.
You don't have very many days to go.
Exactly. I do not want to
Don't start another game.
No, I need something.
You said you were going to start Cyberpunk. Don't start Cyberpunk.
I didn't do it.
Don't you dare start Cyberpunk.
I didn't do it.
Don't you dare. Okay, good. Well, my update is not as conclusive.
Oh.
So I don't know what is going on, but I had felt like I was getting close to the end of Sea of Stars for like a solid week and a half now, but clearly I'm not. Maybe I am now. I don't even know anymore.
People were telling you this and you weren't listening.
No, they said that when you got to the snowy mountain part, it's like halfway, but I had already been way past that.
Okay.
That was like weeks and weeks ago. Anyways, so I thought I had I was thinking every day I'm like, I'm close to the end, but I'm not there yet. I was playing on the airplane and was just completely shocked by a story twist that I did not see coming at all.
Was that thing you showed me? You're like, oh my gosh. I was like, I have no idea what this means.
And I know you didn't care because you don't really care about spoilers. And I just had to, you were the person next to me. I had to tell someone because I was like so shook by this ridiculous story reveal. I literally did not see that coming. So, yeah, so that happened. And now I'm firmly in sort of that portion of the game. I did look up a guide to see like how many more chapters there are. And I think there's only 3 more.
Okay.
I stayed up and beat like kind of a major boss last night. That was like very different than some of the previous battles, boss fights. I liked it, but it was definitely very different. And this game has really taken a different turn in this like late game that I wasn't expecting. And it does retain a lot of the core things that, you know, I was experiencing in the beginning of the game, like it being very like, you know, interesting exploration-wise when you're in the world, and the battles are very much like this traditional sort of time-based RPG-style battles. It still retains a lot of that, but it's just so different. It feels like 2 different games, and I'm still like a little bit like I'm still grappling with that a little bit. I think it's not a bad thing at all, but I'm just like, wow, I did not expect this to go in this direction. So anyhow, so I am still working my way through it and still working my way towards the end, but I do feel like I might be getting close now.
Before Friday?
For sure.
For sure?
For sure. Thursday night, because we're going to play on Thursday night.
I mean, you better
get going.
Better wrap it up.
Yeah, I got tonight. I got 3 days. Should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think I can wrap it up. Continues to be great. Really great. And yeah, now I'm very good at like strategically using all my characters because they all have different sort of elemental type damage. And one really cool battle mechanic they have is like you can do this thing where you break the enemy. So like if you are fighting somebody, and it doesn't have to be a boss, any enemy, it will show up as like in 2 turns it's going to attack you. But if you can hit them with these types of attacks, you can like break their attack, basically.
Okay.
So every single one of your characters in your party has like a different type of attack. Some of them, like, you know, are sword users. Some of them are like hammer users. Some of them use poison. Some of them use, you know, sun or moon magic. So you have to like do this combination of different attacks with your characters. So you're like swapping out a lot of the characters to kind of manage all the enemies. And I think that's really fun. Like that's a really fun, like different style of, you know, turn-based battles that I haven't seen before in a lot of RPG games. So yeah, it's like another layer of sort of strategy beyond the, you know, like the Paper Mario type of like timed button presses, and so that's in there as well. But yeah, I had this boss fight where it kicked my butt, and then I realized that I had to do this like specific loop to break its attack. And the second time around, I did it really well, and I was like, okay, this is how you're supposed to beat this boss. So yeah, it's really fun.
Good. I had one other thing that I checked out on the plane, which was the DLC for Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge.
Yeah, I saw you playing that.
Dimension Shell Shock. This came out like over a month ago, and I had bought it blind, and I just hadn't had a chance to get to it. And again, like I didn't completely know even what it was, but I liked the game, so I wanted to check it out.
Yeah.
So this adds some stuff to the base game. First of all, you get 2 new characters. They're both kind of... you have to be kind of a pretty knowledgeable fan to know who they are.
Right.
The first is Usagi Yojimbo, who's this
the
bunny samurai guy. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's cool. That's by a whole different like comic book artist, and they had a lot of crossovers in the comics. And then the other character is one that I'm honestly not that familiar with, but I read up on, and I think she came in some of the more recent animated series. I think her name is now I'm forgetting, Karai or something like that. But she's like a ninja-y lady. Okay. And so those are 2 new characters, and you can put them into, all the content, like put them in the main game and do all of that. They're pretty fun. I like Usagi Yojimbo a lot. He plays pretty differently than some of the other characters. But there's actually not any new story levels. I was like, I had to double check. I was like, wait, did they really not add anything else? Because I had seen these scenes of gameplay. I was like, this looks like different areas. But the main other gameplay thing that they added is this survival mode.
Oh, okay.
Which is pretty cool. Normally I don't love things like modes like that in games, but this one was pretty neat. So basically you pick a character, and actually, in the story mode you level up. So like I have a maxed out level Raphael.
Okay.
Where you can get like more specials and more life bar and all that. In this mode, everybody starts from 0.
Okay.
So you fight enemies in waves, and when you fight them, they drop these gems. And when you get a certain number of gems, you'll level up. And it's kind of like room to room. So once you clear out one room, you'll have a choice of go into an easier room or go into a harder room.
Oh.
And the harder room will give you more incentive of getting more stuff or getting a different power up. So you kind of see how far you can go and see how many gems you can get, and ultimately get your character more powerful. Something that I thought was really neat was some of the power-ups as you go into different rooms will actually transform you into the enemies. So you can actually play as Shredder or cool. Rocksteady or Bebop. And I liked that a lot. And I had seen people doing that in some videos. I was like, whoa, how do they do that?
Yeah.
So that works well. And they don't have like as fleshed out movesets as the other characters because they're bosses, and they're meant to do different things than the playable characters. But it is fun to be them, and they do feel powerful.
That would be cool to have a game where you can play as the enemies. I think that would be really cool.
I like that a lot. And there's a lot of good, variety to those. You're fighting all the enemies from the base game, and there's a lot of randomness to it that keeps you on your toes of like, oh my gosh, it's the second room, but I'm already fighting these guys. This is going to be pretty hard. And you can do that in multiplayer. I think it's tracking online, like the leaderboards for that. So there's, if you want to get serious about it, you can keep track of it that way. And they also did add some new visual stuff, so you can kind of change the look of your characters. The look of the levels in the survival mode is pretty neat. There's some that look like black and white comics where there's there's comic book panels in the background.
I love that.
So I wouldn't say it's the most substantial DLC, but I did like it, and it did feel like a good addition to what that game already had, which was a pretty big.
That game is really big.
Single player mode already.
Yeah, I really liked the base.
So I like it. I recommend it if you enjoyed Shredder's Revenge.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right, we got a really big news section this week. But first, we have another sponsor to shout out. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Thank you, BetterHelp. There are times in life where you are going to know what is good for you, but your brain's going to get in the way.
It does do that, doesn't it? Our human brains are mysterious things. And yeah, this is the classic overthinking, And I feel like everyone does this. I do this all the time. I always do this thing that bugs me, and I know I shouldn't be doing it, but I replay conversations that I've had with people, and I think about man, was I really dumb during that conversation? Or, what if they, misinterpreted what I said? Obviously, dwelling on the past like that is a lot of energy that you're using, and maybe not so good. So this is where, a BetterHelp therapist can help you work through that and, help you kind of free yourself from those kinds of crippling thoughts in your brain.
Yeah, and once you do things again and again, it can become a habit or a pattern, and it can become harder to break. So that's where it's really helpful to speak to somebody who is an expert who can help you analyze that and understand what you can do to start to get some change in your life, which is wonderful. And BetterHelp is very convenient. It is entirely online, so you take a brief questionnaire to get matched up with your therapist who is in the know on what you want to focus on and how you want to work together. And you can meet with them over video, over audio, over text only. You're completely in control of how that interaction works.
Yeah, and such great actionable like skills too, how to cope, how to set boundaries. Oh my gosh, what a valuable skill that is to have and learn and hone with a therapist. So yeah, it's really helped us, and I think that, you know, taking the time to really work on bettering yourself is really valuable.
Yeah. Make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/KitandKrysta today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/KitandKrysta.
We'll put the link right over here and also in the description below.
News time.
All right, big news section today.
Really big.
Yeah.
Let's start with a couple Sony stories. So the PS5 Slim was announced kind of out of the blue.
Yeah.
Last week. So they announced this on the PlayStation blog. You know, when Sid Shuman's writing the post, it's important business.
That's right.
So this is, there's two versions. They're definitely, obviously smaller. This is the slim version. There's a version that has the drive. There's a version that does not have the drive. The version that does not have the drive is kind of modular. So you could buy a disk drive individually if later on you're like, I actually want to have this.
Plug it in, right.
And you can add that in. So it's actually not, in terms of price, you know, sometimes when they roll this out, it's like, oh, and we're also dropping the price.
Right, they're really not dropping the price that much.
No, this is really more, this feels more like a rolling enhancement to the version that's already out there. So the price of the one that has the physical drive is actually still the same.
Right.
The price of the version, the digital only version, is actually higher. It's actually $450 versus like, so you had that version.
I do.
It cost $400.
That's right.
Why is that the case? I don't know. And I don't think they've come out and
especially
said.
if you're going to, if you wanted to get a drive separately, that's going to be even more. So
yeah, and then
now your price is like...
Right, the drive itself costs $80.
Right, so now you're looking at 500 plus.
So if you think you want a drive, you probably should just get the one that has a drive.
Yeah, it looks so ugly though.
Right.
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't
like that form factor.
The look of these, I mean, it's very much still inspired by the original form of the PS5.
Oh, I like the digital only look a lot.
It's just kind of shrunken down.
That's fine. That's fine with me. I just don't like the one with the drive. I'm glad I have the digital only one.
Yeah, so it's overall the size is down by 30%, 18% less weight. And yeah, again, like you have to wonder, like, well, you know, I think they clearly had some enhancements in terms of how could they make this more efficiently. Yeah, that they wanted to roll out into a new version that's obviously going to give Sony some price benefits in terms of their manufacturing or their margins.
Yeah, their margins are getting better.
Yeah, again, we always keep saying.
Yeah, now they have all of the stock issue worked out. This is exactly what they should be doing.
Yeah, we always keep saying, like, Sony's playing this dangerous game where they need to make as much money as they can because all of these projects in terms of games are extremely expensive and risky. Yeah. So they need to find ways to squeeze out additional money from people, whether it's, you know, some new PS Plus or raising the price of that or, strangely, raising the price of a console as it goes on. And they had kind of been hinting at this of like, hey, these components are still getting pretty expensive and we got this thing called inflation that's causing problems. So, you know, I wonder, will anybody else see this and say, hey, that's on the table? Let's try that.
I know I could raise my price,
right,
but
because I think this had happened in a few markets outside of the U.S., but this is the first one in the U.S. where it's like, oh, price is going up. Okay.
Yeah. I wonder... Well, I don't know. We'll see.
So I'm not really. I'm happy with my launch PS5. It's still running well. I mean, it's huge, but I have the space for it, so it's not really bothering me. But
yeah, mine's still jammed into that tiny cubby hole, but it's fine. It was in remote the entirety of my 3-week China trip, and that thing worked great. Did not light my house on fire, so I'm good.
In the past, they have used these slim redesigns to be kind of like a relaunch for the system or to kick off a big new marketing phase for them. That does not doesn't feel like what this is. And basically, they've said, you know, these are going to start to appear later this year.
Right.
once the old stock gets sold out, this is just going to be the PS5.
Right.
So kind of a different approach. They don't need to do anything that drastic because it's still doing great.
Right.
But interesting to observe nonetheless.
Yeah.
Next, we were just talking about the Metacritic for Mario Wonder. And as of today, when we're recording this, the Metacritic for Spider-Man 2 came out, so we want to talk about that. It is at a 91.
Woohoo!
Which compared to, it's higher than the previous 2 Spider-Man games. So the original got an 87, and then Miles Morales got an 85. So this is a pretty solid step up. Once you get to 91, there's not too much more room to go. So I'm actually a little bit surprised that it was that much higher.
We need to look back at our Metacritic predictions to see how close or far we were from this game.
Did we predict this one?
I think we did.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember what we said, though.
I don't think I predicted 91.
Okay. Yeah, I honestly don't remember. It's been so long. But yeah, it's great to see everyone so excited and so positive on Spider-Man 2. Obviously, this is a game that we're both really excited about. We played to death the 2 other ones and loved them, especially the Miles Morales one, actually. So kind of surprised that got a lower score, but I mean, I guess smaller game or smaller expansion. So, yeah, but it seems like not only the score obviously is high, but also the comments from people, the reviews are overwhelmingly positive, saying that this is the best superhero game ever made. Insomniac is really like top of their game right now with just putting out this like masterclass of this genre of game, and people just say that it's absolutely incredible. So I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, originally I was like, well, this will be one of those games I need to check out before the end of the year, and I wanted to play it, but now I might need to reprioritize what I'm playing in the limited time that we have left before the end of the year.
I think this is my Thanksgiving game.
So okay. Yeah.
This is might be my Thanksgiving
game. Yeah, totally. I could see that being the case.
And I think I can finish it in that couple days over Thanksgiving break for sure. What?
Did you finish Sea of Stars first?
I gotta finish Sea of Stars.
You love to make these proclamations of I can finish this
I can do it.
In 36
this game
hours.
Can't be that long.
No, it's already come out. It's like under 20 hours or so.
Exactly. So I'm good.
It's not ridiculously long.
These games are never that long, so it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a great Thanksgiving game. Mario Wonder obviously comes out the same day, but I don't think it's going to be like that kind of game.
No, those games are not like that.
Yeah, so you can like play both for sure at the same time too, if you wanted to.
I won't be doing that.
You won't be doing that. No. Okay, well you play games like 1 hour a day, which is weird.
Oh, come on.
So
all right,
that's your problem.
Back to the. I just finished Baldur's Gate. What have you done?
1 hour a day.
What have you done?
1 hour a day.
This gigantic experience. What have you done?
I've done a lot.
No, you've done nothing. Let's go back to the world of Nintendo. So we mentioned the Mario Wonder leak, and we mentioned that because of that, the voice actor for Mario has been revealed.
Yes.
The process through which this happened
is ridiculous.
Was extremely annoying. So when the leak happened, people went through all of the list in the credits, and they started like whittle it down based on like
21-person list.
What do we know about these people?
Right.
Like who could they reasonably do? And they got down to 2 potential people. Kevin Afghani and Mick Wingert were the 2 options. Mm-hmm. Initially, a lot of people were on the side of Mick Wingert, and people started knocking on his door and asking.
Yeah.
And I think his representation came out to say, like, yeah, he's in the game, but he's actually not Mario. So people were thrown for a loop again. But then, out of the blue, Kevin Afghani came out to say, he put out a tweet that says, I'm incredibly proud to have voiced Mario and Luigi in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, thanks to Nintendo for inviting me into the Flower Kingdom.
Yes.
So the whole saga of this, post-Martinet world, now we know who the new voice of Mario is.
Yep.
But they really just dusted their hands of this whole thing.
Done and dusted.
You guys figure it out.
Yeah, I think they're over it, honestly. They don't want, again, their thing is they don't want anything else to distract people from this game. This has been an annoying distraction for them that they've tried to get in front of and try their best not to have this steal any focus from the game and the gameplay itself. So I'm sure it was like a reactive thing. Once the leaks happened, this came out. And so I think Nintendo just said, like, fine, go ahead and confirm. Like, whatever. We're done.
It's kind of a bad way to start this relationship with this new important voice actor.
Yeah. It's a little bit weird.
Who's presumably going to be doing this for a while. The way he also words the tweet, it's like, are you doing this for just this game? Or are you the guy forever and into the future?
I don't know.
The way it's phrased makes me want to ask that question, actually.
I feel like Nintendo is like not super into, and we know this, like one person representing a thing.
Right.
Like they don't like that because that just makes it hard for them later. And they saw the repercussions of what happens when you have someone iconic like Charles, who did the voice for so many years, and what happens when that relationship needs to end.
Yeah, they're definitely going the Doug Bowser route here, where it's like, thanks for your work, but we kind of don't want you to be a public figure or get out there or talk about it in any way at all.
Exactly.
And again, I mean, they had so many opportunities to just come out and do this themselves. When they were doing all the stuff with Charles, they could have come out and said at some point, like, and this is the new person.
No, they don't want, Nintendo does not want to introduce this person.
Once this started happening and people started like reaching out crazily to all these voice actors, which I'm sure if you're the voice actors,
they could have put out some sort of
I'm in a bad situation right now because
you're getting inundated by.
I can promise you, like, this was not accounted for, and they were asking, hey, Nintendo, what can I say? And then it takes them, some 24 to 48 hours to talk to somebody in Japan and figure it out, or get agreement, because, oh my gosh, the game leaked, I can't believe it. That's never happened before, and surely will never happen again. I need to recover from my shock.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're just kind of left hanging of what can I do? Again, at any point, they could have just gone out and said, welcome to the new guy. It's it could have just said, it's him. We're so glad he did a great job.
Yeah,
etc. And instead, it's all on him to do this work of confirming this major new role, and I think it stinks.
Yeah, it's not the best support to give someone that is voicing one of the biggest characters in your entire business, in your entire brand. This person seemed to have taken it in good stride. Good for him. Yeah, but it's one of those things where they just don't, I don't think they want to be connected to, they don't want to be putting out any sort of official Nintendo statement that sort of, quote, introduces the new actor, because that immediately ties them to Nintendo in a very sort of shackled in a very permanent way. They are not interested in that. They don't want to do that. So I can kind of see why they were very hands-off and probably just approved this person's tweet and called it a day. And I don't think we're going to get any other acknowledgement from Nintendo about this. They have firmly moved on from this, and they basically are only interested in launching this game and selling this game. So, yeah, I mean, as just kind of cold as this is, it is so like them, So I'm not super surprised, honestly.
Well, hopefully Kevin Afghani is having some nice conversations with Charles Martinet and getting some tips on how to deal with all of this, and
Can't wait to hear more of his voice as Mario and Luigi in the game. I'm sure it's going to be fabulous. And I hope
I hope behind the scenes there's more support given to him of how to navigate this and the new huge stature that he has. And
that there isn't.
I mean, the advice is probably say nothing to nobody for the rest of your life. You
were that person for all of those voice actors for a long time. Remember how
I didn't like that. Remember
how ignored your requests were for every single voice actor request that we had? They don't care. They don't want to do this. That's what it is.
Peach got a new face.
She did.
And it's got people talking. So they sort of, in behind-the-scenes fashion, updated the cover art for Princess Peach Showtime.
Yeah.
And went from the classic Peach look to something that seems a little bit more in line with what we saw in the movie.
Yeah.
And they did also change, you notice in the background, the Kung Fu Peach.
To have a more a fighting face.
Kind of Kirby'd. Now she looks fierce and fighting.
Angry, fighting, Kirby face.
Right.
Yeah. Peach definitely looks very much like movie Peach in the new art. Maybe just another sort of effect of what this movie has done to all of our favorite, Mushroom Kingdom characters. Like, it seems to have had a really big effect on everybody, including Peach and her face. I never loved the classic Peach face, honestly, so I'm kind of glad. Like, I'm glad that this game looks awesome because it does update, Peach's look for a lot of the different, like, characters that she takes on, and that trailer in the last direct looked really fun. So yeah, I'm really glad, and I really liked Peach in the movie, so I'm kind of glad that they're taking some inspiration from that for the game.
I was a little surprised at how, like, intense the reaction to this was.
Yeah.
Because to me, it didn't seem that radical a change, but I think, some people either feel very attached to or really wanted to change the other way.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, so I presume this means they're updating the face in the game?
Yeah.
As well?
I think so. And maybe they're adding just more a bigger range of expressions.
Also, like, the other faces in the background don't seem to have changed, so...
Yeah, the sword fighter, like the Three Musketeers,
that still matches the previous face. So I kind of wonder, is this some like weird half step? What is happening here?
Yeah. I do like, even in Mario Wonder, we both really loved how there's more just expressiveness in general with Mario. So maybe they're just adding more expressiveness in general for Peach too, which would be nice to have her have more than just like one emotion or whatever.
Yeah.
So all of that is the right direction, I think, for these characters. And yeah, I was really surprised. People like flipped out over this box art. And I'm like, okay. I mean, she looks good. Yeah.
Finally, can't diminish this big news. The Microsoft and Activision deal is finally closed.
Inked. Yeah.
Wow.
They inked it.
This was one of my great predictions from the start of the year. I do remember this one. And before the end of the year, we are going to do a big episode where we go through each and every one of our predictions.
23 predictions for 2023.
Yeah.
Next year is 24 predictions for 2024.
My prediction here was that the deal would go through, but it would be...
painful.
It would be painful, and there would be some significant changes along the way. And that's kind of exactly what happened for Microsoft to get to this point where it could go through. But they were really, blowing the horns and rolling out the red carpet when this happened. They had like a whole video that they had made for this that they put out on social media.
I'm sure it felt great to finally get it done at this point. It's like, oh my gosh.
Right. So the statement says, I actually don't have the statement. Anyway, they were very happy with that. But there's some other things that were happening also around this, like getting down to business. So Activision got out to talking about when their games might come to Game Pass. I do have that statement. I'll read that. They said, while we do not have plans to put Modern Warfare 3 or Diablo 4 into Game Pass this year, once the deal closes, and now it has, we expect to start working with Xbox to bring our titles to more players around the world. And we anticipate that we would begin adding games into Game Pass sometimes in the course of next year.
Oh boy. That's cool.
I mean, if you're Xbox, there's no reason to wait.
Right. Get it going now.
Get those games on there. I guess, for these games, like, you do want to go, it's like, well, let's go through a holiday season, and, Modern Warfare is going to sell a lot, so get some money in the bank there. Not that we need it as Microsoft. And then we can, in the meantime, we can map out this big strategy of how do we do it? When does it get out? How do we
what is the cadence of it later?
How do we make it a big deal?
Exactly.
It's going to be just like classic games on NSO, right? Just like that.
Game Pass is good. I don't have any...
It's going to be like 2029. We're finally adding Diablo 4. Aren't you excited?
No.
Look at what we've done.
It look day and date. Like, Game Pass is good. They know how to do things on Game Pass.
That's exciting. I wonder how deep into the Activision bag they're going to get with some of this stuff. There's
a lot of historical, like, some really good titles that they should add.
Yeah, because a lot of people have been summarizing, like, well, here's all the IP that Microsoft just got.
Right.
And there's the obvious stuff.
Significant, yeah.
But there's a lot more.
Yeah.
That I think, maybe is not universally appealing, but to a lot of people, the right groups of people, it could be a big deal. And I count myself in, some of those IP too. So that will be exciting to see, and very exciting for them, I'm sure.
StarCraft?
A console version of StarCraft? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah.
I don't need that.
People want that.
Okay.
Badly.
We also have an update on what is happening with Bobby Kotick in a statement that Phil... So Microsoft did a smart thing. When they announced this, they also shared the official internal communications. So basically, the email that Phil Spencer sends to employees, they just release it to the public.
Because it's going to get leaked anyway. You might as well get ahead of it.
Very smart thing. I mean, companies should just, once you reach a certain point, and your likelihood of something leaking gets out there.
Just get it out there.
Write it with the intention of it leaking, and just skip a step and put it out.
Exactly. You might as well, because it's going to leak.
Right. You can't be quite as intimate with employees as maybe you would want.
Yeah.
But
that's okay. You can do that in person. You can host a big town hall meeting or something like that and say your piece in person.
Right.
And then the statement or whatever that you do in email can be the same as it goes out to the public.
Yeah. So this Phil Spencer update says Bobby Kotick has agreed to remain in his role through the end of 2023, reporting directly to me to ensure a smooth and seamless integration. We look forward to working together as a unified team, and we will share more updates on our new organizational structure in the coming months.
Cool.
I mean, the end of 2023 is not that long.
It's in 3 months.
That's under 3 months.
Yeah.
So I saw some people expressing some dismay of oh, he's still there, but it's not for long.
Yeah, and then he's going to peace out.
And I mean, there probably is some amount of work to now that everybody can properly start integrating.
Right.
Go through that. It's not a long time, and I'm sure he's getting the golden parachute to ride off into the sunset.
Absolutely, and he can probably take a nice long break.
Is it the last we've seen of old Bobby?
God, probably not.
Oh, Bobby.
Oh, Bobby. A lot of big video game people have announced, they're leaving.
Oh yeah, also Pete Hines of Bethesda.
Yeah, he's like, Starfield's done. See ya.
Yeah, I did wonder. I was like, how many months have now passed since the acquisition? Because sometimes when that happens, it's like, well, you have to stick around for X period of time.
Oh yeah.
To see it through again, and then
maybe
you
that's
can,
what it is, yeah.
and then you can go. So I wonder if. I mean, they did kind of position it as he is properly retiring, so who knows?
Yeah, and then Sony obviously had that. PlayStation had that one too.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people are like, I'm good. I'm
hanging them up.
24 years, 30 years. These are long tenures. You need to take a break, or do something else.
That's all right. News.
Wow, this episode's getting long.
Let's get into some questions from our community. It's a Mario Week episode. We got to go big.
I'm not complaining.
I dare you complain about that.
I'm not complaining.
I need you to take this podcast seriously.
I'm taking it very seriously.
You're not. You're not. You're looking at your watch.
Read the questions.
I got some tweets to read. Blah, blah.
Excuse you.
First question is from Tusku. Hi, Kit and Krysta. I really enjoyed your recent segment on Cyberpunk and Pokemon. After hearing that and seeing as this tidbit went unmentioned, I have been dying to hear your thoughts on this statement from the Pokemon Company, which is included below. It effectively states that they see the problem but don't want to allocate more development time, which feels like an oxymoron. Thank you for your time and insight. So yeah, there was an interview with the hot COO of the Pokemon Company.
The BTS member.
Where he got asked this very question of, what are you going to do? Because you have this challenge of
cadence plus
wanting to stick to the schedule, but more issues with quality. And he really
danced around
both sides to that, saying well, we're going to do both.
Good.
Thoughts?
Well, I don't think that they are taking it very seriously because they have gotten away with lower quality games still selling. That's the whole point of this conundrum is as a business, do you care? Yeah, sure. There's some negative sentiment floating around about your games and people are saying certain things, but sales numbers don't lie. People are still buying these games in droves and you didn't do anything. You haven't done anything. So you're basically negatively reinforced for bad behavior. And so I don't think, and it's clear from the statement that they're not taking it seriously because they are still selling a lot. And until that is no longer the case, I don't know if they're going to do much about it, honestly.
I don't think they're going to make a big deal about it because that's them admitting that there was a problem. But I do think that they will look into some solutions, whether that means lengthening the schedule of all these brand rollouts, not just the games, because everything is hooked into when the new game comes out, when the new generation starts, when all these new Pokemon get out there. That takes time, though. Like, you can't just oh, well, everything now is just delayed by 6 months. It's like, it's going to take a while. So it's actually good now that there's no new mainline game announced. If they want to, now's the time they can
relook at that schedule if they were taking it seriously.
Right. I mean, they're squeezing out this last DLC, but after that,
that next game is going to be
else.
tied to the new Switch. So whatever date that is going to be.
But it's not going to be like a launch game necessarily. It doesn't have to be a launch game.
No, but it's probably going to be November of next year. So they basically have a year to figure it out.
I don't know. I think
it's gonna.
I think there's more wiggle here.
Let's hope so. Let's hope that maybe they won't have as many offshoots. I think Detective Pikachu scored poorly on Metacritic as well, right? It did not get a good score.
Yeah, that also had some technical challenges.
Yeah.
But the other, I mean, we laid out options. Like, the other option is, kind of the Call of Duty route, where you have these support teams, and these people can operate in the backgrounds. Like, Game Freak can still be the lead developer, but these technical questions, maybe there's other responsibilities. You see it a lot with art generation, where you have these teams that have very defined roles, helping a main team get something done. That's another thing that they could do, and certainly something where Nintendo is well equipped to identify, hey, we're bringing in this person to do this and this person to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing for Pokemon to say, well, we're unbothered, we're going to live with it. Nintendo's another part of this partnership. I think they're probably a little bit more bothered. Don't you think? We hang our hat on quality, everything we do is so good, smiles on the faces, etc.
Smiles in the bank.
I think that...
Follow the money. In
your words, on my bank account.
In your words, follow the money. I don't know. I'm very skeptical, honestly. I hate to be a little Debbie Downer on this, but I'm just really disappointed. And I feel again, it is so much negative reinforcement. Why would you? If it were me, I don't know if I would care, honestly. If I was making 30, I was making money hand over fist. I don't know. Do y'all think that you guys would care? You really would if you look in your bank account and you have billions of dollars? I don't know. Wow.
Revealing every character flaw that you have right on this podcast.
I'm being honest. For
the world to see.
I'm being honest. I literally, I don't know if I could trust myself to be no, I need to take the moral high ground and fix this thing.
Okay.
If I'm a rich,
All right.
I don't know.
From one busted game to another, Kayaks asks... In the wake of the Mortal Kombat Switch controversy, fiasco, disaster, cataclysm, etc., I was wondering, how will Nintendo view this? Obviously, they did not make the game, but when developers releasing a game for a Nintendo system that performs this poorly, it does cast a negative light on the console as a whole. Does Nintendo have veto power over AAA games getting released on their console?
This was really surprising for me. I just can't believe this got through the process. Who looked at this game?
It seems like the key people on this franchise were not really caring much about this version.
But what happened?
I don't know. And again,
it seems so odd.
We played the last Mortal Kombat on Switch, and it was fine. It was not the same as the next gen version,
but this one was just embarrassingly bad.
So this is something they'll handle carefully, because you have Warner Brothers, who is the publisher of this, who is a big partner of Nintendo's, and one where Nintendo wants their content. They want them to keep making content into the future beyond this system that has whatever technical limitations it has.
Right.
In the future, not far-flung future, you'll have a new system
that will be much more powerful,
capable. Yeah. So you do want to send a message that this was suboptimal, but you don't want to drop the hammer on them.
You can't burn that bridge
and be you're cut off. Or
it is such a delicate relationship, kind of relationship thing that you have to dance around. But I do think Nintendo is asking the questions like, hey, can we re-examine this process and see maybe where some of these things could have been prevented, or how can we help? How can we, Nintendo, help to get in front of some of these issues, or be more prepared? Like, I can see them having those types of conversations, but no, I don't think Nintendo is like yelling at them and telling them that they like messed up, you know?
If I was Nintendo, the last straw would have been, because you probably had a feeling like, this version's
a little
iffy.
Bit
Remember they put out like a launch trailer that had a Steam notification pop up in the Switch version of their launch trailer.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been the last straw. Like, you guys, you jokers.
But still, you gotta be nice.
Yeah,
gotta be professional.
Yeah.
You have to maintain the relationship.
It's a very careful balance with these.
The Nintendo licensing team are experts at this. Like, they have a really hard job. Like, sometimes we hear, you know, we worked with them very closely on the marketing side, and a lot of the times they would, you know, tell us the difficult conversations that they would have to have, and how you would need to sort of do it in a way where you can preserve the relationship, and that's a very hard line to walk. So I can see it being tough, you know.
Yeah, and Warner Brothers is still kind of a newer developer. Like, they started on the Wii U, really, with a lot of their stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's still new enough where it's like, oh, maybe this could go away if we are too aggressive. We want to get the point across, but again, if we're too harsh, like, they might just go, forget this.
Yeah, like, it's not worth our time.
We're going to pull an EA and just never make anything for you again.
And once you sour it, like, EA is still not bad, guys. Like, once you sour it, it is really hard to get it back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think they know that.
Yeah,
they've lived through the Wii U days. Okay, I guarantee you that they know the sting of not having any partners and just begging people to develop for your platform, and how hard that is. So I think, if given the choice, they'd rather have something that's something, even if it's kind of like bad, than nothing at all.
This reminded me of something interesting I saw, completely unrelated to Mortal Kombat, but on PlayStation, they recently added Roblox. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, I did see that.
And Roblox had a really interestingly worded
It was something
tweet.
Like, we want to make sure this is for like an older audience or something. It was so bizarre.
Well, their tweet was like, welcome PlayStation to the Roblox family, where it was like they were like the big thing that PlayStation was coming into, not the other way around. I was like, this is such an interesting power struggle, where I think we're like, oh yeah, PlayStation is like a huge deal. Like, way to go. You just reached all the... And
Roblox is
they're like,
way bigger than...
We're blessing PlayStation by bringing Roblox.
Big Roblox is?
It's huge.
It's ridiculous.
Right.
Like, you'd be shocked to see Roblox's like monthly active users. It's like ridiculous.
How many is it?
I don't know, but I think it's
Got him!
It's like a lot more than you think.
It's a lot.
They had another tweet that was like, or it was maybe not a tweet, but like a quote from the Roblox, like the head of Roblox or whatever. And they were like, we're so excited to welcome, you know, to be part of the PlayStation, to have the PlayStation audience. Like, we can't wait to make like Roblox into like a dating sim or something like that. And that was strange.
When are we getting into Roblox?
No.
We whiffed on Minecraft. Now it's time to get into Roblox.
Exactly. Do you
we
know?
We don't have enough time to get into this.
I don't know.
I know very generally, and I don't really want to know.
I'm not really interested in a Roblox dating sim, so count me out.
But we could make it.
No.
Our first game.
No.
Fine. Jason Ball 34 has the next question. I have to imagine Nintendo frowns heavily on using acronyms for its games. I feel like they'd never put out an official tweet or anything saying something like, today is the 5th anniversary of FE3H. But internally, were you guys able to refer to things like BOTW and SM3DW as their acronyms when emailing other employees, making marketing plans, or did you have to spell them out every time? If acronyms were used internally, are there any games where the acronym the public uses is different from the one used internally, and does that cause confusion? I've seen the Link's Awakening remake referred to as both LAHD and LANS online, for example. Thanks.
Yes, definitely not in any official communication can there be an acronym used. But internally we used acronyms.
There's a line though. Like they ask in a marketing plan, you would not use an acronym.
Not in a marketing plan.
You would need to use the full
title.
name.
Or call it like the game or something like that.
Yeah, but in like an email.
Yeah, I was gonna say an
feel
email.
Free.
You're in an email, you can say like, you don't have to say like Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. You can just say Smash.
Right.
Or like, I mean, if you're emailing about, the most recent Zelda game that everyone's working on, then I think people already know.
If you were emailing Mr. Furukawa, what would you do?
I think I would spell out the game.
The other move that people would do, which would sometimes save time, is use the code name.
We use the code name a lot.
Because code names were sometimes shorter. Yeah. So it could just be more efficient. And there were people who would clutch onto these code names for dear life.
You shouldn't do that.
Which got annoying, because it's like, the game's announced, it's out. Like, let's...
And also, like, stop telling me the code name, because I don't want to accidentally say it.
Right, you might accidentally say it.
To the public.
Right.
Yeah, but there was a long list of code names. And sometimes I'm like, what's the code name for again?
Sometimes you forget. I don't know what this is. There was still somebody, by the time we left, who famously still referred to the Switch as the NX console.
On NX console.
Stop.
Yeah. Stop it.
Stop that.
I think that person probably still referring it to it as the NX.
NX is a cool name, though. What if that's just the name of the Switch, too? NX.
That's cool.
I would actually like that.
It's very clean. No one would know the inside joke, but... I guess people knew the code
Everybody knew the NX.
Everybody knew the code name.
We did not just reveal the code name for the Switch. That was out there.
Right. That's true. But yes, like, usually people were pretty good about either spelling it out or calling it like, the game or this title or something like that in official company communication. Yeah.
This next question is for you, our Paper Mario expert, from Vidge Victor.
Yes.
We have spoken, and a few people actually asked this question. We have spoken of Nintendo's openness to being more inclusive, especially when it comes to LGBTQ plus issues. When Nintendo originally released The Thousand Year Door on GameCube in 2004, a member of Mario's party, Vivian, was known to be transgender in the Japanese and most European releases of the game.
Yes.
In-game dialogue between Vivian and her sisters indicated this. The dialogue was altered in North America and Germany to remove this fact. With Nintendo's efforts to be more inclusive over the last decade or so, do you think the remaster for Switch will rectify this? I would hate to see Nintendo just use the same exact dialogue from 19 years ago, when this would be a great opportunity for them to show their audience that they've grown since 2004.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no kidding. I do remember this very clearly. Vivian had a very different dialogue in the Japanese, and I think mainly like the Spanish and Italian European languages had the same dialogue and translation as the Japanese one, where it was very clear that Vivian was transgender, and she had mean sisters. We don't like Vivian's sisters, anyways. But yeah, it was changed in North America, and I think in other like English translation, like UK probably had the same as the North American translation as well. I do think, we've talked about this before, but the localization team at Nintendo, they have a very open line of dialogue with the dev team, and they have continued to really educate the development team in Japan about, how to be inclusive, how to, just like what, culturally Japan is very different. So having...
But it was... I mean, again, it was not changed in the Japanese release. Well, so who are you speaking with if like we have to change this in the first place?
Well, I think maybe I'm not sure if this is exactly what happened, because I was not there. I didn't work on this game in 2004, but like in the Japanese translation, I don't know if they knew the significance of having dialogue like that. I think that they probably saw it as a lot lighter than how, others might perceive this as like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing that this type of character is being represented. I honestly don't think, and again, I don't know if this is fact, but I don't think that when they originally wrote the dialogue, it was, the reason behind it was like, yes, we're going to go out of our way to, have a transgendered character in this game. Like, I don't think that was the intention. I think it was just like dialogue, So again, back to my point is that like there needs to be education around all of this, right? Like culturally in the US, it's a lot different than in Japan. Like they need to understand the significance of something like this and how
and it's a lot different from 2004 too.
It's a lot different in 2004. I think there needs to be some sort of like acknowledgement and understanding of like how to appropriately, represent these types of characters, these types of communities. I absolutely hope as well that they are going to, take a very critical eye to this for the remaster. I hope that it becomes dialogue and a character that truly is inclusive and represents people in this community. Like, I really hope that is the case. But I do think that the localization, I trust them a lot because the localization team does a really good job, and they always have this like very open dialogue with the team in Japan, and they talk about all sorts of stuff like this. So I think that has only gotten better since 2004.
Yeah.
And we saw this firsthand with lots of games. And so I have high hopes that is going to continue to be the kind of open discussion that the teams will be having. And yeah, I hope to see like a very well-rounded cast of characters in the remaster for this game.
It's going to be fascinating to see for this and Mario RPG where there are changes in the localizations. Like when we were doing our stream last week, we found a Bruce Lee reference. It's like, well, that's coming out.
Oh, I hope not. Bruce Lee's timeless.
But yeah, I mean, I do feel like in this case, they will be going back to the original meaning, if only, because like they don't want to deal with the PR story of Nintendo had an opportunity to be more inclusive, and no, they made this. They did it again. They stepped in it again. So they're very aware of that.
Right.
If you want to be more cynical and look at it that way as well.
Yeah,
but I agree with everything you said about the localization team. It is going to be interesting to see how, beyond just this, like other adjustments, whether big or small, like how are the longtime fans going to react to those?
Yeah, there's a lot of dialogue.
Like, no, this is not exactly how I remembered it.
Right.
Whether whether it's tackling a big issue or it's just like a throwaway line.
Exactly.
That they needed to
and
go in another direction.
They're probably scrubbing through all of that right now because times have changed. And there are certain things that, you should really be a little bit more critical about when you say it. So, yeah, I'm sure that work is being done and done very thoroughly.
Yeah, I've even been making like a mental note of some things in Mario RPG of like, they're probably going to change that.
Yeah, it does feel, sometimes there are like references and jokes that feel a bit like dated.
Right.
And that's just a product of the time, and we have all grown and evolved as people, and the world has changed. So it's good to, when things like this get remastered, it's good to look at it through that lens to make sure it's, it's not just hinging on the things of the past.
Yeah. The last two questions are from the same ilk. They're from Maverick Nate and Paul Gale Network. First, Maverick Nate asked, do you have a go-to Halloween costume? What will you be going as this year? And then Paul Gale asks, hey, Kit and Krysta, what is the theme you're planning going for with this year's Jack-O-Lantern? For me, it's Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Ooh.
Thanks. I immediately got anxiety from these questions because I realized I don't have the answer for either.
Oh, yeah, we were just talking about this too because it is time to start planning the pumpkin for this year and the costume. I wanted to make you a Locky 2 costume.
Well, who's stopping you?
Then
Not me.
You're going to wear it though, right?
Well, you make it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm looking at Locky 2 right now.
Make it, I'll definitely
I'm going to make you like a little overall thing.
Okay.
And I'm going to cut like a cardboard cloud out and then put cotton balls on it.
And then we're going to put you in the zero-G apparatus and see what
happens.
happens.
And maybe I'll be like a Spiny. I'll be this little guy.
Okay, then I can throw you.
You can put me on a fishing pole. That would be a cute photo, right?
Yeah.
I think we should try for that.
I mean, it's you've got.
I got.
You have 2 weeks,
I have
basically.
Two weekends. I can do it in 1 weekend, probably.
Okay.
Both.
All right, I look forward to that. Jack-O-Lantern. So last year, I've done game-themed Jack-O-Lanterns for several years.
Kind of a long time now. Yeah, me too.
Last year, I did Gengar.
Gengar was very cute last year.
That was a trickier one.
Mm-hmm. I did Polterpup last year, which was really fun. I really enjoyed that one. This year, Mario Wonder is a good idea because the Wonder Flower would be easy to carve.
It's kind of like, is it immediately recognizable
That's
though?
The thing.
I don't know.
It's a little bit cheater.
It's tough.
The other thing that we were looking at the other day was the skeleton hand from Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe that would be cool.
That
and then
could
I
be
could
neat.
do like some sort of design around it so it looks like the little shrine.
I think that could probably be done
because it already looks like a skeleton.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Maybe I can put a green light inside of it.
Oh.
Like a green
Now we're talking.
LED or something.
Yeah.
So that maybe I can get a green pumpkin. I think there are green pumpkins. Or a white pumpkin.
Oh yeah, they make green pumpkins. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that will be the direction this year. That could be it.
Huh.
We'll see how it goes.
If anybody's got a big idea, I'm open. Leave a comment.
All right.
Because I need some help.
Gosh, I can't believe Halloween's like almost right around the corner. That's so crazy.
We gotta do our big Halloween set.
I have all the decorations
all the stuff
from last
still?
year. Yeah.
I picked up a really cool thing.
You did?
I told you about this. It's
a crystal ball with a skull in it?
It's like what do you call those? The
Snow globes?
Snow globes, but it has a skull inside, like a crystal, like a clear skull. And when you press a button, the stuff shoots around, and these like really cool lights come
we can put it
come
on
up
the
and
table.
around.
You can have a little seance.
Yeah, it's neat.
Ooh.
It's neat.
I love it. I love Halloween. I love the holidays. I'm glad that we have so many upcoming for the eating and the dressing up and the presents.
You were so excited to be in Portland, a place that has proper fall. Like you were in your fall outfit.
I was.
You had some boots on, and
I might be in my. Oh, it's gonna be like 75 degrees later this week, so no.
yeah, it's gonna be hot here.
But soon it will be fall, and I can fully bust out the fall wardrobe, which is always fun. Anyways, should we shout out some superstars?
Let's do it.
Here we go. Aaron Hash,
Ben Eichhorn,
Maru Mayhem,
Eigenverse,
Kiss My Flapjack,
Mike Chin.
Switching It Up _
You forget Roy Eschke.
Oh, sorry.
What? Oh my gosh. It's a Phazon.
VGM Life,
Oh, you're thrown off now.
I'm okay.
Link, the hero wins.
Angela Bycroft and her pig Molly,
Thomas O'Rourke,
Kyle LaBeouf,
Roberto Nieves,
Frederick Ulf Conraxen,
Andrew Uhas,
Chili,
Bruce Stash.
and Rain Tech.
Okay,
Oh, wow, that was...
take a deep breath.
Here we go. One Up Club, graduation service.
Yes.
Aaron Burgundy,
Ale Alejandro,
Astro Dev,
Awesome 46,
Bad Moon Horizon,
Benji B,
Blue Yellow Gray,
Bookem Dano,
Bookishly Fab,
Brooke Obscura,
Brookie Kazooie,
Chelly Squirrel,
Christopher Lay,
Captain Alex,
Crimcast,
C. Roper 17,
Dachshund,
Doinko,
Dolce,
Dino Punch,
Elite Peach,
Espars 50,
Fart Priest 69,
Fairbound,
Fernie and Jess Forever,
Fox Deploy,
Frulio,
Garrett Hullfish,
Garth the Wolf,
Gartooth,
G-Sun 101,
Heroic,
Iris Marin,
Jay Rando,
Jabroni Jones,
Jeffrey Hernandez,
Jerry 92602,
Jesse Hernandez,
John Responte,
Jonathan Rowe,
Jordan Collette,
Jordan Hemmerly,
Joshua Clements,
Juji Fruit,
Just Camtro,
Justin Lemminger,
Kawa 2796,
Keith Kwan,
Kevin Delane,
Kilo Kibo,
Krista Roddy Kid,
Christopia Party With Me,
Kyle Gamer Barry Rookie,
Kyle Kretzer,
Linnell Stickman,
Lit,
Luminous,
Mad Dog 5981,
Magnificent EZG plus Callie Marie,
Marky Man 64,
Mecha Dragon 101,
Megan,
Michael Cravens,
Mikey,
Motomania,
Mr. Andy Palm,
Mr. Beans and Dip,
MSM Poke Gamer,
My Tran,
Nameless Hero,
Nasir,
Nathan Burkhart,
Nick E,
Ninja 11,
Panda Buns,
Pangy,
Paul C. Pace,
Paul Gale Network,
Prime Factor,
Prince Charmless,
Raver,
Ryoth 1,
Rob Osborne,
Rocks,
Ryanetta,
Sharif Jackson,
Sheer Cold Vanille,
Shinryu,
Slowbro,
Silly Ferret,
Snozzle,
Spicy Munchkin,
Steel Citrone,
Sunny Kaduru,
Terrastorm,
The Shark Among Men,
Thomas Alvarez,
Three Rivers,
Hoover Schmofer,
Travis Torline,
Trajowie,
Tugs Puppy Bear,
Tusku,
Tyler Geis,
Fezes,
Video Game Stupid,
Viridian,
Virtual Bot,
Weep Kingdom,
WG Grizzy,
Wicked Davy,
Will Johnson,
Zudaverth,
Zelgarov,
Zapandy.
and Droid.
Yay.
We got a lot of time with Aaron Burgundy at Portland.
We did.
was
Aaron
nice.
Burgundy and his entire beautiful family. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun. I love seeing you guys at shows. That was like the best.
That maybe was the show where we interacted with the most people who came up to
Yeah.
us, which is great.
I love it. It's so nice when people come up and say hi and take photos. And yeah, we love doing that. So if you ever do see us, come say hi.
You're not as mean as you look.
I'm very nice. Look at this face. Look at this face. All right. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Patreon. We are patreon.com/Kit and Krysta.
If you're watching this on video on YouTube, you can go ahead and subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and also leave a comment. And if you're listening on audio, you can also subscribe, leave us a 5-star rating, and a written review if you please.
Please. And we're also on the socials. We're Kit and Krysta on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and still Threads somehow.
Hanging on by a threads.
Oh, gosh. It's awful.
Still there, though.
All right. Back next week with big, huge, deep Mario Wonder impressions. Hopefully, after you listen to this podcast, you're playing the game. So tell us in the comments what you think of it so far, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.